invites you to the Kingdom Renewal Conference 2024 with an evening in Lagos at TBS Marquee. Date Tuesday 7th May. Time 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. And Port Harcourt at Aztec Alchem Event Center, 77 Ken Sarawiba Road. Date Thursday 9th to Saturday 11th May. Time 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily. Ministering live in Lagos and Port Harcourt, Dr. Tom Jones, Catherine Runala, David Wagner, Charity Cook, and Venerable Tunde Oduwole. Ministering virtual in Port Harcourt, Dr. Randy Clark and Bill Johnson. Register now. For registration on live streaming, go to www.lapislm.org. For inquiries, call +234 703 437 1401. Come and experience God's unfailing love.
Good morning and welcome to Sunrise. It's the first Saturday of May and I am happy to be with you.
Happy Workers' Day. Yeah, well, it's two days ago?
3 days ago.
3 days ago, so.
That was Wednesday.
Good morning, I'm Ayo Makinde, and I don't even know, there are so many things to wish each other now. It's Happy Workers' Day. Some people wish people Happy New Month. I don't know how that makes sense.
Oh, please.
For those of you who can sing, like Mike Abdul, Morekpo, Morekpo, Morekpo.
Very apt, very apt. Because coming here this morning, the queue at the NMPC at Alakpere tailed back into Ogudu, and not Ogudu down, Ogudu up.
On the bridge. Whoa.
Ogudu up. So that queue would have been about 2 to 3 miles long.
I would say that is short.
Oh?
So I saw a video.
I see, okay.
And the car must have been going at about between 20 and 40 kilometers per hour of a traffic queue, of a fuel queue in Ibadan. The queue, the guy was driving, he must have been driving for about two minutes, right? The fuel queue was so long, and it just kept going. He must have been traveling at about between 20 and 40 kilometers per hour to be showing that thing. So you can imagine the speed at which the vehicle was moving. And the queue kept going the length of the video. That's one. I saw another video that captioned that in Sokoto State, the queue was long. Guess what was on the queue? Marwa. Keke, or whatever it is they call it in that place. The queue was long, about the same length as the one in Ibadan. In fact, somebody said at Ibadan, somebody said, Guinness World Book of Records should come
and capture this. In the meantime, have we actually been told the cause for this scarcity that we're experiencing?
I would not be able to answer in the affirmative because there's still some brickbats going here and there. On the one hand, Ipman is, well, at least an official of Ipman is making allegations. That some people in the NMDPRA or someone in the upstream authority is single-handedly taking some decisions that is affecting the issues. And the NNPC is also saying we have all the supplies in the world, but the challenge is the logistic issues. And there's another school of thought from another official of Ipman that we have the supply, but they are not on ground. They need smaller vessels to go pick them.
So we don't have it.
So the point is, let the NNPC come out and tell us exactly what is going on.
This has been going on now for almost 2 weeks.
Exactly.
And nobody in authority has come out and spoken to us directly and told us what is going on. That is unacceptable. We are Nigerians, we pay our taxes, and we deserve certain things, including fuel at the filling station, especially since we are told that subsidy has been removed and the price went up by about 300%.
That's for fuel. And depending on what area, it's actually almost 400% from 165 naira at a time.
Why should we as Nigerians sit down and take this? The price of fuel goes up 300%, electricity goes up by another 300 to 400%, and we just sit down and fold our arms and take it, go and queue for 6 hours to buy petrol? Oh, come on.
At the end of the day, the most important thing is this: communicate. I mean, I don't know for how long we're going to say the same thing over and over again. Let us know what is going on. Empathy is something Nigerians will give, or give us information. Give us reason to say, okay, this is what is happening, this is the understanding that we have, and then we can go to sleep. Until then, it's you've left a lot of gaps for a lot of people to say all manner of things,
all
rightly
kinds
or
of
wrongly.
Speculations.
All kinds of speculations, all kinds of stories that do not really get anywhere. So let the NNPC, as a sole importer of fuel, as at this time, make it known to Nigerians exactly what is going on. Let the NMDPRA and whoever else has information about these things come out and declare to us. IPMAN will not give us anything, solid, because they are not government officials. Even Petron will not be able to say anything. Everyone is hush-hush about these things, and it leaves Nigerians speculating what the holy is going on. Give us information.
And then government comes out and says, minimum wage has been increased by between 25 and 35%. When everything else has gone up by 400, 500%, and you're increasing my salary by 25%, how do those maths add up, please?
I think
how do those figures add up?
I think to put it right, Alero, we should say that cost of living has increased by 1,000%.
My salary is only gone up by 25%.
And your salary is expectedly going up by 25 to 35%. And that is only for public sector. You know,
when I was younger, I used to hear the expression, Ishiro Lokodido. That was then. So what are the Yorubas going to come up with now?
Coding.
It is more than Ishiro that you need to make your housekeeping allowance last you till the end of the month.
I have to do a lot of coding. Engage AI.
AI will tell you where to go and buy the food cheaper, or
what?
Yes. On the internet.
Your brain will tell you to fast.
Oh, my God. Food prices are just something else in the market. And when I go to the market, I just wonder, what do the Nigerian people eat? I was listening to a radio program 2 days ago where it is said that Nigerians eat, I think, 2 kg of meat per year per person, whereas the ECOWAS, not world, ECOWAS standards is 8 kg per year. That Nigerians can't even afford to buy meat.
I'll put a big question mark on that data of ECOWAS. Which country in the entire ECOWAS region is able
to eat 8 kg?
To eat 5 kg? Which country in the ECOWAS?
Well, it's just giving them okay, you all aim for this.
And what are the parameters they have put together as ECOWAS to say, okay, we're going to help, we're going to get this so that each country can get up to 8 kg. Don't even get me started.
No.
Wait, before you can't run off it.
Sorry. Okay.
What are they eating in Sokoto State, which is adjudged as at the last multi-dimensional poverty index?
As the poorest
country in the world, in Nigeria,
state in Nigeria,
with about 95% of the people there living below the poverty line. Multi-dimensional poverty.
And
what's happening in Borno State? What's happening in Bauchi State?
And after we got that data, what are the governments at those subnational levels doing about that data?
I have asked the same question every time, Alero. Anytime you listen to me, I am asking the question
They're busy buying black Jeeps.
Because the question...
Black bulletproof Jeeps.
Anytime any issue arises at the national level, we are pointing at the federal government. Enough. The federal government has citizens. The states have indigents. People live in the states. What are the governors doing? And then every time we say, okay, the local government is this, local government is that, and you're telling me, oh, there is insecurity here and there, but when elections are going to hold, you bring results from those local governments.
Oh.
What? Anyway, I don't know. You were trying to say something in English.
Government banditry now, quote, business venture for some security and government officials. This is credited to Governor Rada of Borno.
Of Katsina.
Katsina State, sorry. Katsina State.
I don't even know where to start on that, Alero. Because I don't know the number of times I've heard something similar said by government officials, particularly in the north. Particularly in the north. There was a time that it was the governor of Kaduna State at the time, Governor El-Rufai, who said at the time that the collaboration among governors ceased. That is why there was a resurgence of insecurity in the Northwest. That, you know, the contributions that they were making to ensure joint or regional security, that they began to go back on their word. That's why things rose at the time. This is a Northwestern state. What collaboration is ongoing? Now, he is saying some security personnel and government officials. He's a governor. He's a government official. And we are not hearing this kind of allegation for the first time, Alero. We've heard governors, ministers, all kinds of people at some level say certain powerful forces are behind this,
Name
are
names.
behind that. I don't even want them to name names.
Name names and then prosecute those people.
Thank you.
So that law enforcement can prosecute them.
You can't tell me, you can't continue to come up with this rhetoric and say certain people are doing this, certain people are doing that. Don't just name the names. You are government. Am I missing something here?
You have the power to bring all this to an end, but you are keeping quiet, which means you are complicit.
Exactly.
Complicit.
And look, please, if there is any state that ought to be most vulnerable, I think it should be the states like Lagos and even a territory like Abuja. These places should be vulnerable because they have huge potential for any of these things. These things don't happen in these states. You are government. You are a state governor. You are a local government official. You are a minister. You are whatever it is that you are. You have the authority to do the right thing by your people. It is the lives of the people living in these states that are going under. Enough of calling out, you know, giving us this, what we do, dancing around issues.
Rhetoric.
Please, if you know them,
Speaking
call
grammar.
them out. Let the people do. If you call them out and nothing happens, then we know that you've tried your best. Enough. I beg. You want to say something?
Yes. The menu at this point.
The menu, well, we'll begin with the look at the persistent fuel crisis as usual. I don't even know where to begin with that one. I don't know where to begin.
From the fuel crisis, we're going to go to World Press Freedom Day, which was yesterday.
Yes, and very, very instructive conversation, actually. Then we will talk about lifestyle. In case you have teenagers, you are having problems understanding them. Identity crisis in teenagers. That's the focus of the conversation.
Teenagers.
Yeah.
Yes, and then we shall close with the Artist of the Week segment, as is usual with us on Sunrise.
And he is... Sorry, did I say he or she? She?
He's a he. That's what he means.
She. See?
Okay, in the meantime, please just grab your cocoa.
Oh, cocoa.
And stay with us for the next 3 hours odd. See you in just a moment.
My love, my ability. And as we celebrate ourselves, we shall be dedicated.
capacities. We are one. Nigeria.
On the mountain, shouted in the valley, Nigeria has come a long way. On a journey to our future, a brighter and better day.
Interesting times. Persistent fuel crisis. Some people said again. For some people said we're on the march again.
On the match again, are we?
That's what they said.
Oh, okay.
I mean, for just yesterday, some people that I was talking with were saying, what's the assurance we have that we won't have this another 2 or 3 weeks from now?
Probably. But you know, we were hearing some, as they say in Yoruba, labele, that it all has to do with fuel price. But we don't know what the truth is. But we have a panel here today. We have been facing persistent fuel shortages since President Bola Tinubu announced the removal of subsidies on the 29th of May of last year. Fuel scarcity is a pressing issue in Nigeria, with long queues at petrol stations and disruptions to daily life becoming all too common. While the root causes of this problem are complex and multifaceted, citizens have a pivotal role to play in finding solutions and addressing the challenges at hand. Now, let's discuss this with our panel this morning. We have in the studio Dr. Kayode Okwefa, Executive Director, Center for Sustainable Mobility and Access to Development. And if you recall, he was on that committee that worked on that Apapa gridlock. Good morning, Dr. Okwefa.
Good morning.
Please, pardon my giggling. We are also joined by a chartered accountant, Dr. Olubenga Adeoye, who is not with us in the studio today. He normally is with us, but he's joining us virtually from London this morning. Good morning, Dr. Adeoye.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here again today.
Good. Permit me to start with Dr. Okwefa. Doctor.
Good morning.
You are one of them. So do you have any inside information as to why we have this situation?
Well, before you answer that one, how did you get fuel?
Fuel. I queue up for the fuel and I paid the normal price.
Okay, for how long?
I refused. As at yesterday, it has reduced to like 45 minutes. We got at 6:10 for 45 minutes yesterday. 2 days ago, 3 days ago, we got at 6:10, same station for 2 hours. And this morning in Ipaja area, I saw the queue, mostly, like you said, tricycles and downfall vehicles. And I don't think on that queue, in that remote area, one of the Ipman kind of station, there are no more than 50 and they are selling. And also, yesterday afternoon, on Admiralty, they were selling and the queue was not much. That's the
AP.
Adova, AP, the AP, yeah.
Oh, the AP this morning was...
No, that was yesterday.
This morning it blocked the road.
The
queue was miles.
And that's another issue for discussion, the blocking of the road. So in Abuja on Friday, I saw a long queue, but oddly. No, even though Jerry Khan was filling at one point, the long queue of vehicles was just one straight line and they were
just moving.
Dispensing. I think it was a 6, that's Abuja now, 670 or so. That was on my way to the airport.
Well, someone said he bought in Lagos at a particular, whatever fuels, whether it was a fuel station or whatever, something in the region of 900 to a liter.
It depends on
Maybe it's black market.
maybe black market. Those are issues for better education and discussion.
Okay, but
So-
answer her question. What exactly are we dealing with here?
Exactly.
Okay, before I answer what I believe we are dealing with, I will use the topic of today, which I think you actually captured it very succinct by calling it persistent.
Yeah.
I was worried initially. Why the word persistent? Since May 29, this is the first time after May 29. Forget about the one that happened immediately, subsidy is gone. That was natural. And that lasted for about 5 days. The moment the price was liberalized, people pull off the queue. Then the next one started about March. We started seeing persistent. But when I look at the word persistent, it actually captured it rightly. Persistent is saying that I'm a process and system person. It's saying that you have a process that continuously survives despite adversity. So what we're saying is that despite challenges in the petroleum downstream sector, Nigeria had consistently had these situations, and we have found a way to always manage it. And what are the challenges? The challenges are obvious, and they are going away. One, inadequate refining capacity. We are importing. But in the next few months, you have Dangote maybe till December, assuming that's the worst case scenario, to produce petrol. You have 5 modular refineries with 27,000 barrels per day capacity. You have
My apologies
Kaduna
for
refinery.
butting
Let me lie. We have Kaduna refinery coming up. So you have those challenges. Then you also have inadequate distribution system. That's what they are referring to as the logistics side of it. The pipeline network, over 4,000 or so, built when the former president was military president, has been damaged, vandalized. So you don't move petrol by truck. I mean, the long distance, the mile to mile way by truck. You don't even move them by train. PMS. You are supposed to move them by your pipeline network. We do have pipeline network, but vandalized. Then we have inadequate or aging infrastructure. All our depots are down, except the Lagos depot, the Ogara depot in Delta, then the Calabar depot in Cross River or so. So when you have all these challenges, then what has government done? What has Nigeria done? Don't let me say government. You have the PIA, you have the refineries coming up, you have the rehabilitation of government refinery, you have NNPC talking about reworking on the network system. So whether we like it or not, we are gradually getting out of this phase.
That's the challenge, Dr. Okwefa. But maybe let me
now come to what is currently. What is my view?
We'll come to. I mean,
maybe I should just tell you what I see is the issue.
Okay.
What I see is the issue is this is not the first time on this issue, and Nigerians need to. We need to look at things the way it happens. The NNPC, who has the responsibility for energy security in this country, came out and said they have logistics challenge. Wait, what they did not do is to tell us what is the logistics challenge.
Let me ask Dr. Adeoye, perhaps, he has, because speaking from an experiential perspective, sometimes it sounds like, people don't even know what they're talking about. But you've listened to
before you call
we'll come back to you.
Let me just advise. Let me just advise. Let's take emotions out.
We'll come back to you.
Let him advise us.
Let us just take emotions out now. Let's face the issue.
It will be difficult to take emotions out.
Okay. Let's see.
Because people are queuing for
take emotions.
6 hours,
I agree with you.
8 hours.
I'm saying for us to really, for me to be able to communicate to the public.
It is that communication that has been missing. We'll come back to it. Dr. Adeoye, what do you make to be going on? Particularly, I mean, you've seen the comment from the NNPC and a number of other people who have spoken, Ipman, Petroan, all giving all kinds of opinions about the issue. What do you see as a real issue on ground here?
Okay, many people do not know that the challenge we have in Nigeria is not because of petroleum products that is not available. It is because the alternatives are not available. for example, you'd think that people looking for fuel around are those who want to put in their cars. No, actually, most people do not have electricity. They need to power to watch television, to put on their fans, MSME, they need this. So it's a complex situation. And like I used to say, that when the other fundamentals are not in place, you're going to have crisis. And like in English language, there's what they call complex sentence. They say that complex sentence must start with connectives. So let me use Ayola Kazim as an example. Although Ayola is a short woman, but she loves playing basketball. Now, when you look at the introduction of that sentence, you see negatives, problems, but your attention is shifted from the height disadvantage of Ayola. You're now looking at Ayola playing basketball. If you say, although fuel prices has gone up, although electricity tariff has gone up, but the federal government has distributed solar panel package to 100 million households in Nigeria at 50% discount with a 5 years repayment period, you will discover that attention will be shifted from the current problem. Now, what are the causes of fuel scarcity in our country? Is mismanagement of supply arrangement. You know when your child is going to resume school is so much. You must plan how to pay the school fees. Yeah. So these are issues. When you look at the country, the same thing, and that's why I like the word persistent. We've been having this fuel crisis for decades. And it is because of lack of proper planning or execution of the planning. Now, let's take a look at it. Number one, once people see that prices will change, then you begin to see queues in all petrol stations. And it shows that people are not patriotic. In Lagos, there are stations that are holding the PMS. Now, you also see panic buying as a problem. So, when you look at it, it's a complex situation. Patriotism is not there. Execution of plan is not there. In supply chain management, you know what quantity people are consuming, and you know that you have problem with your pipeline. You know that you have problem with your depots. Therefore, you must ensure that strategic measures are put in place to ensure that these things are available. And why is that important? Because you know that in this country, the alternatives are not yet in place. For any human being to survive in Nigeria today, he needs to have diesel or petrol if he doesn't have solar package in his house or offices. So I will not accept any excuse from the government on this. But at the same time, I have many Nigerians to blame for this. Why panic buying? Even at the risk of fire accidents in your homes. And then you now see that workers in petrol stations around the country are now taking advantage of the people. They're not going to sell to people who are on the queue on time, that the price has been hiked up there, and people bring a number of kegs. So the task force need to come out and ensure that if you need to power, because I heard that, at a particular NNPC station in Lagos, there was yesterday or 2 days ago, a ban on people coming to buy with a jerrycan. The truth is that somebody who need to power stuff in his house will have to buy with jerrycan.
The challenge of that also, Dr. Adeyo, my apologies for butting in, is it has also been seen to fuel the black market. They will buy in kegs and go to the sides of the road. And in fact, I think it was Friday, my colleague in Abuja who went to town and saw that the fuel station was locked. But around the fuel station, the black market was thriving. It was
So-
thriving, and they were selling at ridiculous prices. So that is perhaps one of the reasons. And of course, some task force officials will come, and if you are selling into kegs too, maybe even too much, you know, there is a risk of being shut down. But you know,
Yes, I agree.
having said all of that, you know, Dr. Adiri, one of the challenges we've seen is that of communication. By the way, I know Ayola is going to come for you, but, you know, the challenge of communication from the NNPC, from the government officials, is right there. No one exactly, I mean, and you also mentioned it, and Dr. Okpefa has spoken to it. The fact that no one has spoken to Nigerians, giving Nigerians specific you know, communication about what exactly is going on. Contact officials of government, no one wants to say anything. It is not that the media is not going to try, but we can't use a vacuum cleaner to suck out information from people. So right this moment, the queues are still there right now.
Miles long.
So what
truth.
what in your opinion should who be saying to Nigerians now in different parts of the country?
Let me tell you this. If communication is not properly done by people who are responsible to do that, it is an opportunity recipe for you to get sacked from your job. Now, currently I'm in London, if you are in a train station, you are going to see notices to tell you that, oh, this line is not going to work on Saturday. There is going to be a delay between so time and so time. If you are going to Heathrow, you go through this line. Communication. So, I don't know. People should be fired immediately when you don't do your job. You should have told us what is going to happen in the next few days. And you tell us the measures you are putting in place and why people should not panic, because in the next few days, this is going to happen. Now, Dr. Okpefa is my elder brother and friend. He just gave you analysis of what has happened now, and you thank God you said he is part of them. Well, I may not agree with that. But when you see he spoke like the GMD of NNPC by telling us what has happened, 640, 641, the queue has reduced from 45% to this percentage and so on. Now, what that implied is that what he has just told us, he is actually not the right person to be telling us. But that underscored the fact that your statement that he is part of them. So he's doing his job very well. But I would say he should collect the salary of all of the major persons that are supposed to handle this communication for this month of April and May. Because Dr. Okpefa is now talking to us to let us know at Admiralty, this is what has happened. At Abuja, this is the price. The queue has reduced. It's now one lane. This is an emergency situation that should be communicated to citizens every day. And so when you wake up in the morning, you put on your TV or radio, you should be hearing officials of NNPC telling us not to worry, telling us, oh, right now, distribution is ongoing. If you go to AP, if you go to MRS, if you go to so place, you are going to find it. And
So since no one is saying that, my apologies again, Dr. Adeoye, since no one is, let me bring it to you, Dr. Okpefa, since nobody is saying, giving us all of this information, it leaves room, a lot of room for all kinds of things to go on. For instance, one of the comments that has come from the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria is that the federal government should speed up the processing of their licenses to sustain access to petroleum products. That the allegation is that, look, it is part of the reason for this scarcity we're going through now is because the authorities are holding back from renewing certain licenses. Yet no official of government has come out to confirm or refute that information. And this is directly affecting the supply as far as IPMAN is concerned.
Thank you. I hope you will allow me time to actually explain it, just like you allowed them. One, I'm not working for any of the agencies.
So you are not one of them.
I am my center. No, I am part of this government.
Okay.
And I'm proud of this government. And this government is doing well. Okay. And I can.
So you are confirming that you are one of them?
No, we are all part of this government. That's what I'm trying to tell you. We don't need to. Let's go to the main issue. Just like you said, that's where I was trying to get to before you asked that we go online first. There are informations. They said, NNPC said, my center, I've been working on this matter since the time I was a commissioner in Lagos State. I also worked on this matter 2015, 2016 with the federal government.
That's almost 10 years ago.
And I also worked with them in 2017, 2018, and 2019 on this fuel distribution legislation. And our center has taken it upon us to make sure we dig down into it. We are into logistics and mobility management. Now, when they say logistics, the first thing Nigerians should understand what logistics means is that it is integration of information and transportation into the process of managing your supply chain mechanism. Now, when they said logistics, those stakeholders in the sector understands what they are talking about. They now said there is shortage, but they have made available adequate supplies. That's what Mr. Adeoye was responding to. When that kind of statement comes, the matter should now shift also to the citizens and the public on how to react. I agree. Information could be more. But information also, once this thing goes out, the media houses, the press will also face the main issue. And that's where I'm coming on the issue of Ipman. I've also interacted with Ipman's position. I've interrogated. This is not the time to bring it up. You know why? You are going to create panic in the market. And when you create panic in the market, people will jack up their prices.
Who is bringing the issue up? Is it the NMDPRA or Ipman?
No, Ipman says they are having issues. It's normal when you are in the activist or labor or whatever side of the story. You take advantage of things like this. But what it will do, it will aggravate the situation. One, there is adequate supply. Everybody in this industry, those in the stakeholders know that our inventory level was low and is now okay. When they say logistics, inventory control is part of logistics. Like I said, supply chain mechanism, the issue of warehousing, the issue of shipping, the issue of trucking, those are things that encompasses logistics. So if you break one, if your inventory level goes low for 1 day and you bring it back, you may take you 7 days to recover. That's the situation we're having. That's where I wanted to go. What you have is, you're having Dangote coming up, we are going to release product in May. You're having this one saying you have 35 modular refinery. All sort of things are coming up. Now, suddenly one of your supplier breaks its chain. You are going to have low inventory. If you don't find a substitute, an alternate supplier to bridge that gap, you are going to suffer. Now, what you do, like you said, is you tell your consumers, this is the situation. In fairness to them, in fairness, NNPC came out, Meman came out, Major Energy, the former Moman, the ES came out, their chairman came out to speak. Ipman came out to speak. Dapman came out to speak to the same issue. And NNPC kept saying they have 1.5 billion liters. That is for 30 days. And they have 300 immediate for distribution. That is for 4 or 5 days. Now, if they pump that into the market, they can never bridge the gap of the loss because everybody is now filling at full tank. So instead of us consuming 40 to 50 liters per day, under this situation, we will be consuming 60 million liters per day. So that will create panic. So what you need under this condition, when you say something is a logistics problem, same thing in the military, same in the medical field, when they have logistic issue, is to calm down the situation, address the logistics issue. You remember during the dirty fuel, I raised the same issue because they're going to do reverse logistics. Instead of us arguing who is wrong, who is right, simmer down, take that to the investigation. Face the issue of supply chain and distribution management. And that is what we should focus now. And that is why I personally took it upon myself to find out what is going on at different places so that we can manage it. In Sokoto, Kano, and the rest, you will still have queues for some time. You know why? Because NNPC had concentrated the supply distribution to Lagos and Abuja, and it's strategic. That's where 40% of the consumers are. So you want to quickly wet those areas. Those are strategies. So what I think we need to do more is for them to communicate more with the public. These are the strategies we are using. People need not buy from the keg. Those are citizens' issues. You need not sell into the keg. You need not buy in the keg. When you get to queue up, we need to talk to states. When I was commissioner for transport in Lagos and in Abuja, whenever there is fuel crisis, you know what we do? We deploy men to fuel stations to manage the traffic. The petrol people cannot, the petrol station cannot manage the traffic. And at the end of the day, you have 2-3 lanes. That is confusion. Then they cannot sell well. I passed through Northwest. Fantastic. They were on one queue. So if you're on one queue, you will move faster. But when you go on 2-3 queues, you create another logistics situation. So my own point is this. We have identified the issue. We are now being told that we have enough supply. The people that should complain about supply are Meman, Ipman, Petroan, and the Dapman. Meman, the major marketer, says they have enough. Ipman is saying they should give them also more. And strategically, Ipman is around the fringes. Meman, Dapman, Meman and the others are within the city. They will wet the city first. It's a procedure. Yes. Eventually, it will now trickle down. That's why in Agege area, I told you what I saw were mainly Danfo and then the other thing is the transport system is not there, like I said. Those are the things that makes, it's not only in Nigeria that you have this kind of situation. You remember just a few months ago, America released from their strategic reserves.
But you know, there's another issue he raised anyway, that Dr. Ide raised about alternatives. We'll come back to that.
Yeah. That's exactly what I want to talk about.
Okay.
Dr. Ade,
yes, please.
I believe that Nigerians, by and large, are getting tired of this persistent fuel scarcity. And they are looking forward to alternatives so that they will not have to go and sit in these queues for 7-8 hours to buy fuel. What alternatives do you think we could have? We've heard of CNG, and since last year we were hearing about CNG buses. We're going to flood the streets so that we can park our cars and go in those buses. If you ask me, many Nigerians would not mind parking their cars and taking those buses. But those buses are nowhere to be seen. Then, of course, there are electric cars. Where are we going to get electricity to charge the batteries of our cars? So we are stuck in this rut. We actually do not have any alternatives, or do we?
Well, first of all, let me just mention something about that communication that Dr. Okwefa talked about. We have multiplicity of communication channels, and that is also very wrong for a complex country like Nigeria. IPMA says this, MEMA says this, NNPC says this. So they should, we should have one communication channel to the public, so you know that every morning, afternoon, evening, you're going to hear authentic information, not one person saying this, that person saying this. That will ease the situation. On the alternatives, my recommendation to the federal government is to see how we can have solar package for MSME households. And I will take an example from what happened in the telecommunication industry. I recall the audit firm where I worked, 1998. Something will just happen, NITEL guys will just disconnect the line, and then you have to go. I remember one man, we have to go and meet at NITEL. You have to drop an envelope, do something, and then the wires are just using, and then they will come to fix this for you, and then you use it for like maybe 40 days, then something will happen again.
Of course.
Now, today, NITEL is gone. because MTN came, Airtel, Vodacom, or all of them. And at the beginning, prices of SIM card was terrible. But today, SIM card is given almost for free. Now, if PACN or whoever is in charge of electricity knows that in my house, I don't bloody care whether you supply or not. I have access to light, I have access to watch my television, I can put on my fan, then you will buckle up to improve your supply. So, in my view, the alternatives, which is the best green energy we can think of, is to say, let's supply household full package with discount. So you have batteries, you have charge controller, you have solar panel, and get it to household. This is something that is even happening in Canada, in the US, and other places, even where they have enough energy. In South Africa today, they've been having issues of power supply, and right now, they invented lithium batteries. And so most offices are powered by solar panel. So this is something government must pay attention to. Can send,
my apologies,
like
Dr. Ade. It's not that, it's not a problem of incapacity. For instance, you know, Dr. Ade, Dr. Okwefa, maybe I should even come to you. I mean, you were talking about, you know, this refinery is supposed to come on stream, that refinery is supposed to come on stream, and then we are waiting until whenever it'll happen. It was since last year that we have been told, and we are being told, that the Port Harcourt refinery was going to kick off by January. No one told us that there was such a thing as mechanical completion. Yes. So sometimes we economize information to the Nigerian, leaving us speculating. And before you know what is happening, you do what smokers would do, just pop off some smoke in some refinery, giving people the illusion that the refinery was functioning. Now, it was until later, just a second, sir, until later that we now, in fact, chemical engineers and everyone who knew about this whole process, including former managing directors of petroleum refineries in the country, came out to say it is not possible for the refineries to kick in by the time that the federal government was promising. This is May, right?
It is still not on stream.
We haven't heard that this refinery, the Port Harcourt refinery in particular, which is the one that was being talked about, was going to kick in. So, as Alero said, we are stuck, or aren't we? That's the question. You said that there is one refinery supposed to kick in, the other refinery is supposed to kick in.
Sorry. Let me say this. I'm not a chemical engineer, but I trained as a biochemist and a chemist in my undergraduate days. And the little I can tell you about, and I also have a degree in marketing, so I can talk about communication. So I can combine the two for you. Now, when a refinery comes on stream, you know there are mixtures of products. Notice all the modular refineries, none of them is producing PMF. Have you noticed it?
Yes.
Watersmith and the rest of them. They are all producing AGO and jet fuel.
Yeah.
The process for making those ones are not as difficult as PMS. That's number one. Number two, their capacity will not meet the market. So we still import. So what is government doing? Government keeps importing until Dangote kicks off. Dangote was commissioned. When you commission a refinery, I was just on the platform, this argument was going on, just by experts, is that the first thing you kick off with are the distillates that are easy to produce. And when you start producing them, you don't get to the maximum efficiency until after a time. That's what Dangote probably is going on. But about communication, Dangote is communicating.
No, I'm not talking about communication.
No, I'm
not just a second.
No, about what is going on.
I'm not talking about Dangote. I'm talking about the federal
government
I'm going there.
I'm going there.
Only because
just wait.
This particular product is centralized.
Just let me go on. Now, you have the Port Harcourt refinery. They told us mechanical something completed or one is coming on. Then we've heard about the issue of licensing. And Dangote too is facing the issue of licensing. These are standards that we have to fulfill under quality control. But you see, we need to, that's why I wanted to make it clear what logistics is all about. Because when they say logistics, Nigeria just thought is the trucks cannot move. It's beyond that. It's more complex. The only thing we have not been told directly is what it is. But some people have come to say mother and daughter vessel. The fuel is on the IC. You need to get it out, and it's becoming difficult to get out. We've also heard the fact that some of those refineries in Europe went on turnaround maintenance. Now, I'll give you a practical example. I was involved in 2015, 2016, when the government couldn't move fuel out of Apapa. They were moving on 100 trucks a day, and Nigeria needs 800 trucks a day. Sure. I was involved. Within 72 hours, we cleared and we were moving 400. And within 2 weeks, we started moving 800. What happened? That was gridlock, unrelated to fuel distribution, but it affected fuel distribution. So we just need to go to the unions and plead it, and we clear the way. Now, this is what I also observed. The issue, at the point, there was a vessel coming up, big 60 million liters truck, and somebody needs to clear in the Nigerian Navy, and he was off shift. So the next person says he won't do it until the next day, just because, they have their own protocol. And if they don't do it, it's going to affect the supply and the trucker.
The chain.
So I was called, because I was working as a consultant to them to clean the logistics problem. I had to get as far as chief of naval staff or somebody either for them to break the protocol and get the thing quickly done so that the fuel could be discharged to OVH in Apapa so that it can go in the morning. So these are logistics issues. If you have a single window, it will have been signed online. But we are not operating single window as of that time. So these are some of the challenges you face when you talk of logistics and supply chain management. The same thing in the Ukraine war. The same thing in the military. The same thing in the hospital. During COVID, remember, immediately after COVID, prices of shipping went up. There were no containers in the world because the company manufacturing container based in China had shut down and is not resuming. And because of that, prices... So these are, up to today, the transport sector, the logistics sector is yet to recover from COVID and Ukraine war and that accident that happened in the Suez Canal. So these logistic situations can change this. However, I agree with you, it's communication. But that communication also involves all of us who have the facts. We should be able to put the facts in a way that it will not cause disruption. Now, on the issue of different people speaking, please, I'm not speaking for any agency because I'm close to all of them. Meman, Dapman, have spoken the same way with NNPC. Ipman has not spoken much difference. They only say it is 2 weeks. NNPC say it is 1 week. But when I went deep into what they are talking, NNPC is saying Lagos and Abuja will be over within 1 week. You get it? Ipman is saying the entire thing will be over in 2 weeks, knowing that that is when they will be able to get adequate supply to meet the interland. I don't want to blame anybody. Like, it's my own attitude in handling this kind of logistics issue. It's not about blame. It's to see that what that, like he said, the alternatives. That's why you have the PC, you have the CNG. And I just want to address the issue because I know what is going on there. I take personal interest. Our institute, because it's about mobility and access development, take personal interest to know what is going on. We are aware. You cannot bring CNG vehicle into Nigeria on the shelf. It has to be procured. It has to be manufactured. They don't start manufacturing until you pay full payment. But now, let me learn so that I can get it. Now, the vehicles are on their way. They've shown you assembly of some of them in Nigeria.
The challenge is back to
yes, exactly.
communication.
That's where I was going. We saw some being sprayed.
Let me learn, please. So what we need to just let people know is that this program is a medium to long-term plan.
We should be telling Nigerians
this program is short to medium-term plan. I am also aware by the 15th of May, a major stakeholder meeting is holding on the CNG. And many have been going on around in the country. So I'm not holding. Like alternatives.
Dr.
There need to be energy mix. And that is why the CNG and electric issue is very critical for mobility. We cannot rely for too long on one kind of fuel. We now need vehicles that are biofuel. The world is changing to electric.
You know, there's something that you said earlier, Dr. Pefa. You spoke about the fact that one person didn't do what he was supposed to do.
Who is that?
About a naval officer who was off shift.
Yes, it was supposed
It
to
wasn't
sign.
wrong. It wasn't wrong.
I agree.
No.
But the point is, one person and disrupted
Lives of millions.
would have
doing the right thing. He was
disrupted.
doing the right thing by not signing.
No, the point I'm making is it is just one individual. So in my opinion, and I've said this countless times, when we talk about government, I always decrypt it to just one person not doing what he or she was supposed to do at any given time. All of this information that you have given us now, we are taking them. But they are coming late. This thing, as Alero said earlier...
I got them from the media.
These things that you're talking about is about 2 weeks old. Someone should have told Nigerians 3 days before this whole thing started that, hey, guys, this might happen.
This might
Yes.
happen. Yeah,
Just as Dr. Adeoye was telling us, that this thing might happen. And in the event that this thing happens, this is what is likely to come out of it. No one is talking to Nigerians. That is the one that is pissing many people off.
I agree with you.
Let me just ask Dr. Adeoye. Dr. Adeoye, what Dr. Okpefa has just said about CNG vehicles not being what you can buy off the shelf, they take time. Wouldn't that cause people to think, what was the president then thinking when he just on the 29th of May just tossed in subsidies are gone, when no plans had been made to cushion the effects of subsidy? 1 year on, we don't have a single CNG bus on the road.
No, we have so many.
Where are they?
Okay.
Ogun State has.
Well, we don't see any in
Edo
Lagos.
government has.
Oh, okay. And that's enough for 200,
Lagos has.
200 million
No,
Nigerians?
I just want to correct the statement that we don't have a single.
Okay.
we have
There are
some.
some on the
Yeah,
road,
we have
but
some.
unfortunately, we
Let
don't
me
see
see.
them because they're not enough to move us around.
Alero, let me say two things. Number one, patriotism is an issue in Nigeria. And you have layers of people having something to do about the country. The president is not going to travel and be inspecting factories where these things have been manufactured. And I want to also say that there are certain individuals who are sabotaging this country, the economy, who do not want the president to succeed. The God will punish all of them. So let me leave that aside. Because even this fuel scarcity you're talking about, some people want us to have problems, perpetually in crisis. You understand me now? So you see certain things that are counterproductive, that are coming on the stream in the country. And then you then wonder, this is not the posture of the president that is in power. So the president made a statement in recent times where he said that if we do not remove subsidy, Nigeria will have become bankrupt by now. Yep. Fantastic. We believe that. Without the removal of fuel subsidy, people will keep importing, bringing papers, vessels without petroleum products coming into the country. Now, I spoke to some bankers. If you go to check, as soon as subsidy was removed, the number of requests for foreign exchange to import PMS reduced significantly, which shows that round-tripping activities were going on. So it borders on patriotism. And look at it. We've been having this crisis in Nigeria now about shortage of supply. National Orientation Agency, are they sleeping? Are they still alive? Is that agency working? What are the things that you are rolling out in different languages in the country about how we should behave ourselves, about why you should not take 10 kegs to petrol station, how you risk your life on radio, in Yoruba, in Hausa, in Ibibio, in different language, Fufude, or all the languages? What are they doing? No communication. So I would say that we have a network of dangerous human beings who do not want Nigeria to move forward, who are trying day and night to sabotage the government so they can say, oh, the president did not do well. Like I said earlier, anyone who is working against the progress of Nigeria, who wants this government to fail, permit me to say that, like I'm speaking on behalf of the government now, that God will punish all of them and wipe them out of this country, the enemies of Nigeria. And there are many powerful people who do not want the country to move forward. So everything borders on patriotism. Communication you're talking about, patriotism, love for the people. So I know Dr. Okpe, in fact, does not like to mention it. Can you see how he was trying to tell Ayo that he didn't say that any naval officer did not perform? He was just saying that they needed to. He is a very careful person, I know, because he's in government. But I am saying, as an advocate of the people, that all the people that are causing problems in Nigeria, he knows them too. He just doesn't want to mention their names.
And he doesn't want to say that God will punish all of them. We understand that. Well, yes, you wanted to take some comments.
Oh, my God. This is from Femo Dibanj. Please, I disagree with your guess that people don't need to buy in the jerry can these days of persistent blackouts. I saw a video where people brought their gen sets to buy fuel, and I consider this very odd.
That's not the only thing, Femi. I saw one, was it yesterday or the day before yesterday, where the guy came to the fuel station with the fuel tank of his bike.
Oh.
I also saw another one of a fuel, I've seen several times, the fuel tank of the generator. They just bring that one to the, but hey, you know what? There's this one also by Tola, says, persistent fuel crisis. Generally, Nigerians are used to telling people what not to do, rather than telling us what we need to do to manage the crisis. The result is everyone starts to act inappropriately, thinking they are solving the problem. You have another one.
Skittish money. I believe we need crisis management and response training in all our MDAs. I suspect it is from lack of respect for people we're supposed to serve.
This is an email from Sam. Says, things are not easy for Nigerians. After queuing for hours, I was charged 2,000 naira.
Oh, dear.
Additionally, before I was able to buy fuel at a filling station in Jakonde, Lekki, yesterday, scarcity led to exploitation. I saw another video. Did you see that video where they said that the guy was lamenting that? They said that you must buy meat pie
Before you buy.
Oh, before you buy fuel.
fuel.
Meat pie.
It isn't funny. The guy was lamenting like you have to buy. Well, in fact, at some point I thought that was his skit. But
Okay.
apparently.
Dr. Adoye,
Yes, please.
all this persistent, I keep referring to that word, persistent fuel crisis, will also be leading people to now think, okay, so subsidy has been removed. Where is the money saved going? Dr. Kwaifa mentioned earlier, moribund pipelines were moving
Vandalized.
fuel through trucks, which shouldn't be. So is that money going to alternative ways for us to manage this industry so that we do not see this persistent fuel crisis?
Well, I can only speak in form of recommendation. Since I do not have the balance sheet and the statement of account of the federal government from subsidy removal. So one of the things that we recommended to government is, yes, procure CNG buses and other transport measures, purchase more trains, construct more rail lines so that you can move people en masse, and that will reduce transportation cost. But what I discovered from June of 2023, which I have reservation about, is that there is a sudden increase in the allocation of the federal government and the state government, which means that people are now earning more at state level, and you do not see, the effect on the people. So federal government should not dash what we save from subsidy to state governors, just like that. We were sharing 600 billion before. Now we're sharing over 1 trillion every month. The federal government should take the bull by the horn and address all of the issues that we need to tackle so that life can be easy for Nigerians.
Well,
so that's a recommendation
all
that
right.
I can.
Dr. Okpefa, one attempt that you've been trying to make all morning, which is actually very, very admirable and respected, is what should the people be doing now? Responding to one of the comments that we have here. Don't panic is what we hear. So if you don't want us to panic, what do we do? That's on the one hand. On the other hand, I know that this is not your call, and you have done a yeoman's job trying to let people understand exactly what is going on. But what should happen to those who are supposed to give information, but literally are miserly with the information they're supposed to give to people?
Permit me to say this. As far as I'm concerned, all the information I have is from the public media. So I believe China has more information than I do. When I watched the executive secretary of MEMAN, Mr. Isong, and their chairman, it was on channels. When I watched Ipman speak, it was on another major channel like yours, not channels. I also listened to Mr. Rewane Bismarck on your business news when he was talking about diesel. It was on channels. And I also follow Business Day, who reports these issues pertaining to this on a daily basis. And you see about 2 or 3, 4 articles. So what I'm trying to say is this, is we have to do more to make sure the thing, like I said, trickles down to all the other normal media and abnormal medias, so that people can understand in simple terms what is happening so that they can adjust. And what should people do? We must, if people will not maintain a queue, pending the time the thing subsides, the traffic management agencies in every state, the state governors, must ensure they are deployed, not people carrying weapons. Non-weapon officer. If they are going to be police officer, they must not carry any weapon, any leather weapon, to go and manage the queue. Then for those selling in jerry can, it has to be managed somehow so that it doesn't disrupt, because they genuinely needs to buy in jerry can. You can't stop them. Otherwise, they will bring the generator, which is very inhuman. However, nobody should be allowed to sell in jerry can. But unfortunately, they are selling right by the petrol retail store in the open. So if nobody is selling in jerry can, the vehicles on the queue will move faster. Now, another reason why we are moving slowly in the queue now is because we are now using POS. When we used to pay cash, it's faster.
Yeah.
Now it takes network, I bought fuel, and I had to come and pay the next day because the network did not work, but they obliged me because...
Only because they knew you.
The third thing is this. The stakeholders need to meet so that they all be on the same page. And those who want to take advantage of this situation, don't forget, this is the first time since this government of Ashwaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu came in that we are going to have this kind of crisis. And it's a long time people sold fuel at exorbitant, they made arbitrage. Now some people are hell-bent, like you said, just to make enough money. Now, the PIA is on now. 2021, I believe. The PIA has deregulated the downstream. Believe me, I monitor mobility and access issues. With the modular refineries coming up, with Dangote coming up, all things being equal, we will suddenly, towards December, getting out of this PMS debacle.
On a permanent basis?
Yeah, because even if Dangote imports the crude, don't forget we are still having problem with our crude. It's another issue. I listed all these to mention. As long as we cannot meet 2.0 million barrels per day, we're going to have problems supplying the. So what is hindering us? People are sabotaging, people are punching pipe. The network of a pipeline, we have to find a way to be able to pump fuel, not only from Lagos.
Permit me to.
We must be able to pump fuel.
Permit me to butt in quickly, Dr. Okwefa. Is it that we don't know these oil thieves?
No.
Is it that we don't know these oil vandals? Just as you said, the governors are in the states. I still have a problem in my head, though, that the federal government is the one in authority over petroleum-related issues. But the petroleum infrastructure are in the states, and the states will tell you that they can't do anything to even protect.
Everybody, including you, the media, too. Including you,
Let's
the media.
begin with the people who have authority, executive authority to do something.
What I'm saying is that the government, the people, must stop making two queues. No, the nozzle will not go into.
No, I'm talking about you talked about the crude oil that have been vandalized here and there. The states are where this infrastructure are. There are those that say that they are moribund wellheads or whatever it is, that they are not. Anyway,
I don't know about crude oil matter.
Dr. Okwefa, the queues at the filling station. The big man wants to buy fuel. He goes with his pilot car. Fuel. He disrupts the queue. He goes in and he buys his fuel. So he doesn't care that you queue for 6 hours.
I don't think
because he
happens.
doesn't.
It doesn't happen during this kind of situation.
It does.
Are you serious? Okay, let's get to solutions.
It does.
Let's get to solutions.
I saw
My own approach. When the dirty fuel came up, we're arguing on who is. The solution to this thing is that all agencies of government should do what they need to do. Wet the town, wet the streets, wet the petrol stations with products. Let there be product and let our stations be protected to sell. The complaint of Ipman that they are not getting products, let's find a way to send some products to them too, so that they can also manage.
Let's begin.
Any station that sells above the actual price, Nigerians should just send a text message to the FCCPC or whatever.
Who is anyway? Take these comments you have.
Angel Tunde says.
That's my friend.
Oh, no wonder. He says, special greetings to Dr. Okwefa. Well, he says, I want the federal government to place a total ban on black market sellers during fuel scarcity. How can just one woman carry 11 gallons of 25 liters, all in the name of business? This is very risky.
Okay.
Just let me just correct you. You see, if we have this kind of mindset, let me correct you. Angel Tunde is the editor of environmental EPL, those guys in Lagos that monitors environmental transport issues, and I'm on the same platform with him. They are more concerned, they take records, and that's why I took interest in their site. It was started by Omorodion, who is now dead, who is now, he died about 2 years ago. If you get on that platform, they discuss all these issues, and they talk from the point of patriotism.
Okay.
And that's just the plain truth. All of us have the road to
Jerry Joseph also has this one. Government officials should desist from taking passive actions when things happen, and accountability should be taken seriously. And I think that's part of the point that Dr. Adeoye was making about people taking responsibility. We understand that. Okay, to you, Dr. Adeoye, in the event that some people do not take responsibility and take appropriate action as they should, what should be the consequence? Because there are those who would say the process that we have now is because some people didn't take action and didn't take responsibility.
Look, this little thing that has happened in Nigeria to tarnish the presidency of, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, if it has happened in other places, by now, some people will have read in the news that they have been sacked.
Yeah.
So you hire and you fire. Look, people cannot just continue to mess us up and mess up the president. You just fire them. Just tell the Ajuri Ngilale to announce that the president has approved the removal of so person, 3 or 4 people, scapegoat, you remove them, everybody sit tight. Somebody is bringing a PMS into the country. One man is trying to collect bribe and is not allowing the vessel to bath so that we can have relief. And then you just hear about it, remove him, suspend this one, hire, fire. People will sit tight. What is
You're
happening
right.
in the West is that there are consequences for sabotaging the country.
You're
Thank
right.
God that Dr. Kweva also agree. You are sabotaging the economy. The refinery that is not working, we've spent billions of naira, if not dollars, to fix it. Get the people that are involved, those that are still there, sack them, prosecute them for what they have done. You know, and you will see peace in the country. Petrol stations who are selling 25 kegs to people, sanction them, close them, put NNPC guys to begin to sell their product. Then,
Dr. Adeye,
yes,
Dr.
please.
Adeye, we have to go now, so I would like your last word, please.
My last word is still patriotism. Before God, we deal with those sabotaging the economy. The president should deal with them by himself.
Okay.
Sack some people, fire them, and remove them. Some people suspend them. Let proper people be in charge, and let there be proper communication. You have National Orientation Agency. We're not hearing anything. Somebody is carrying 25 kegs of PMS. People are hoarding this product to punish the citizen.
Okay.
So we need to act speedily.
Okay. Dr. Kwefe.
Yeah, on the issue of petroleum, I think we need to, all of us, using the instrument of our agencies and cooperation, send the message out to Nigerians. We need to be, when you have crisis situation at hand, you need to, one, listen to the facts. The facts on the ground is that there is product. All we need to be is to be orderly. It will take some time. We should do that. That's number one. Number two, those who need to talk should talk. Then number three, the media should also take extra patriotic step to make sure that they also join in this crusade.
Thank you very much. I like that part about those who need to talk should talk. Those who need to give us information, those who need to communicate with us, please do.
And stakeholders, let me elaborate. Stakeholders should cooperate with government to make sure we get out of this very fast.
Okay. Please communicate with us.
But coordinated communication. Coordinated communication.
Okay. We had two doctors as our guests this morning, Dr. Gbenga Adeoye, who joined us from London via Zoom, a chartered accountant and a legal practitioner, as well as Dr. Kayode Okwefa, Executive Director, Center for Sustainable Mobility and Access Development. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming to look at this issue with us this morning. Sunrise will return in just a moment. Do stay with us.
Imagine lovely meals you can cook with these ingredients. You spend heavily, but no guarantee of a tasty meal. Not making a right choice of seasoning cube can ruin your meal, money, and confidence. For a tasty meal, do not compromise. Choose Gold.
Use Terra Gold for the rich, consistent taste your loved ones crave for. Good for soups, stews, and jollof. Terra Gold. One cube, endless possibilities.
We are passionate about two things in Nigeria. The first is football. The second is our rice. And nobody celebrates like a Nigerian. So, for every goal scored, every mark made, you can be sure to always come back home to rice. Celebrate with Nigerian Premium Big Bull Rice. Homegrown just like you. Big Bull Rice. Tasty rice. Nourished you.
Do you know that you can now print all your essential items for events without even having to leave your home? It's the Cash Prints Combo Deal for all events.
Yes!
Weddings, conferences, birthdays, burials, etc. Starting from 495,000 naira only. You get 50 invites, 50 A2 size posters, 50 16-page brochures, 1 large backdrop banner, 1 roll-up banner, 50 jotters with pens, and 50 souvenir carrier bags. Whatever event you're planning, we can adjust to your budget and quantities. Just send your pictures and other information through WhatsApp, and we shall send a design for your approval. Approve your design, and we will produce with super high quality digital print technology. We can even arrange delivery to your location. Call us now on 0913 156 5016 or 0812-794-9323 or visit our social media pages. Casprints, digital printing at super speed.
Who's your guy? See how sweet they like beans and rice. And those people, I will never leave your side. I will never ever. I dedicate my time, forever, time to you, my people. Even if the road be rough, I know mine. 'Cause together we shall stand.
Make we all come out on election day and vote Olumide Osaigbavo Akpata, Una guy, as governor of Edo State. He ready to change our story and bring better life for we and our pikin them. Vote Labour Party, the party for Papa, Mama and pikin. Make we vote well, oh. Oludi, confirm. Now you be our guy. Labour Party, forward ever.
Olumide Akpata.
Cube is available in beef, chicken, jollof, and shrimp flavors at attractive prices of 100, 200, 500 naira, along with Saver and Super Saver packs.
Terra Cube, unwrap joy, unleash taste.
The Duchess International Hospital caters to every aspect of the family's health needs. A one-stop shop for maternity and child health services, emergency medicine and critical care, medical and surgical subspecialties, dental and eye care, and a range of other subspecialties and services, all available at a single location right here in the heart of Ikeja. And it really doesn't matter if you're paying out of pocket using your HMO or private insurance. We focus completely on providing that world-class affordable healthcare for all the family at all times.
Environment and ecosystems, but also impacting the lives of countless individuals worldwide. Their stories of turmoil and grief deserve to be known and shared. While not always picturesque, these narratives can even stir discomfort. Yet it is through awareness that change becomes possible. It just so happens that that is the focus of the World Press Freedom Day this year. So on this occasion, UNESCO launched this Story Must Be Told campaign, spotlighting the contributions of journalism and photojournalists in unveiling stories that deserve to be told. But while that is ongoing, one of the major focus of the World Press Freedom Day for some practitioners, particularly the Nigerian Guild of Editors yesterday, was the state of press freedom in Nigeria. To have this conversation with us this morning, Yobasa Ujare joins us. Dr. Yobasa Ujare, who is a National Secretary of the Nigerian Guild of Editors, he joins us virtually. Thanks for joining us this morning, Dr. Ujare. Well, perhaps let's begin with some kind of introduction to the conversation. Do you think, generally speaking, historically as well, Nigerians understand the plight of the press that bring them the information that they use every day?
Like you said, Nigerian as a country has a long history of unpleasant, press freedom violation. And if you look at it from the days of the military era to the present situation we find ourselves, it appears that many Nigerians don't appreciate, the risk that journalists, pass through, to provide them with reliable and credible information that they need, to take decisions on a daily basis. I said most of Nigerians, not all.
Yeah.
And that is why sometimes when journalists are arrested or attacked or detained, there is no enormous support and solidarity from Nigeria, to condemn the action against journalists.
Doesn't that therefore give the impression that people don't really understand the role that the media should play in a democracy?
Well, there are so many reasons behind it. The part of the responsibility of journalists or the media, is to expose corruption, to expose bad behavior, and these people who ought to appreciate what the media is doing are also affected by the work of the media. Take, for example, the politicians or the government officials. Of course, the provision of the Constitution, Section 22, that the media shall at all times hold public officers accountable to the people. So while the media is going about looking for the story that the public officers, the politicians are trying to suppress in order to expose them, most people don't feel comfortable with that. And so when journalists are arrested or attacked by the government officials, the response from the public is good for them. That serves them right. Not because they don't know that what the media is doing is in line with their constitutional responsibility. It is just because they are not happy with what the journalists are doing. Well, it's not peculiar to Nigeria. It's a global issue.
Well, it's interestingly, let me quickly segue into the theme for the celebration this year, according to the United Nations, a Press for the Planet. Generally, okay, maybe I should ask it this way. There are what's recognized as environmental crimes, and then there are issues that journalists should give attention to, but unfortunately, they are not able to give attention to them because there are several other issues. Issues of insecurity, issues of political manipulation, issues of corruption. Those other issues tend to take away the focus from environmental issues as far as the perspective of journalists and perhaps even editors are concerned. How significant is that for you?
Well, if you look at the environmental crisis today, the crisis enveloping the ecosystem, it also affects millions of people around the world. It's like saying that what affects the environment also affects virtually everything. For you to be able to practice a robust journalism, you need the enabling environment. And for you to be able to do so many things, so you must have the conducive environment. So I'm not surprised that this year the unions decided to coin the yesterday Press Freedom Day as appealing to media to focus on the environmental crisis around the world, because what affects the environment also affects the entire world. And if you look at what happened in Nigeria yesterday, the Minister of Information addressed a press conference along with the Minister of State for the Environment, where the Minister for Environment assured Nigerians that the enabling environment will continue to be created for media to carry out their constitutional responsibility. And not just that, also appealing to the media to also focus on issues, affecting our environment. Environment is not just about sanitation. It's not just about things that has to do with waste bin, dust bin, and all that. If there are no good environment, it will be difficult for us to operate a very health system. If there are no good environment, it will be difficult for us, to operate other things, to carry out other responsibilities. So the issue of environment is crucial, is very important, and the media must focus on the issues affecting the environment.
It's also interesting, Dr. Ujere, that we actually report environment issues without even knowing it. For instance, issues around illegal mining, issues around pollution of the environment. They are environmental issues that we don't even know that to report. But something else about press freedom or press practice in Nigeria, of course, it's not just limited to Nigeria, it's a global phenomenon as well, is that of fake news and uncertified journalism that is ongoing, particularly in the social media space and the rest of that. Now, how do you, as a body of self-regulators of the industry, deal with that kind of thing? One of the things that has been said over the past 10, 15 years is that the press doesn't break the news anymore. It's like the press confirms or affirms the news, or the press refutes the news. How should Nigerians perceive news from social media spaces and not from regulated media such as the NGE and similar bodies?
Yeah, like the president of the Nigerian Guild of Editors said yesterday, the issue of fake news, is not a Nigerian problem. It's, like you said, is a global issue. And if you look at the EU report last year, fake news, the economic system of the EU, suffered almost about 450 million euros, affecting the economy as a result of fake news. The whole world is paying attention to it and looking for a way to solve the problem. But in an attempt to solve the problem, we must not criminalize the issue, because it has the digital space also has its own usefulness, it has its own advantage. But we must look for a way to regulate it. We must look for a way to tackle it. Now, if you look at the definitions of the mass media today, it's not just about television, radio, newspaper, and magazines. It also affects the online and digital space. So most of the issues that we are dealing with, the issue of fake news, has to do with the digital space, not the legacy media. And the federal government, the state government, the professional body like Nigerian Guild of Editors are concerned, and we believe that we should find a way to regulate it. In doing that, we must not also criminalize the digital space. Just about a few days ago, the National Security Advisor, Ribat, was saying that the federal government must find a way to implement, the issue of cybercrime, fully. Nobody's against that. But in doing that, we must not use it as an opportunity to also suppress opposition views. We must not use it as an opportunity to suppress freedom of expression or media freedom or independent press. But there's something wrong with finding a way to regulate the digital space, so that the issue of fake news can be dealt with. Now, if you look at other advanced democracies around the world, and they are looking for a professional way, to detect fake news. There are software you can use to detect fake news now. I'm sure in your newsroom, you have a way of fast-checking information, whether they are right or whether they are wrong, before you put it on air. So we must look for a professional way to tackle the issue of fake news, rather than making an attempt, to criminalize the digital space.
I quote, "This story must be told," but I don't think that the general public appreciates what some journalists have to go through to bring them these stories that have to be told. So my question, therefore, is, what are the biggest threats that journalists face all around the world?
Now, if you go back and check the reports of the Reporters Without Borders, it's a global non-governmental organization, that is interested in looking at press freedom violations around the world. Now, if you check that 2023 report, it's there. They said Nigeria is one of West Africa's most dangerous and difficult country for journalists to operate. Now, in arriving at that decision, they were not just looking at the physical attack against media houses, against journalists. They were also looking at the legal framework legal framework in Nigeria. For example, if you check our statutory book, there are still many anti-media law in our statutory book. From the days of the colonial era. For example, look at the Official Secret Act is there, the Cyber Crime Act is there, and there are so many obnoxious law that is targeted at the media and journalists. So those laws have not been repealed by the federal government. So it's a threat. It's a threat to press freedom. It's a threat against the robust journalism practice in Nigeria. And if you also look at the economic context, and that's one of the indicators of also assessing press freedoms around the world. Now, in the last few years, I'm sure the channels can also attest to that. The cost of running media houses have become so difficult. The cost of camera is going high almost on a daily basis. The cost of the equipment is going high on a daily basis. If you also check the cost of newsprint, it's no longer affordable. So the economic policies of the government, whether at the state level or the federal level, is making it very difficult for media houses to carry out their legitimate business, and that also carry out their own constitutional responsibility. So that is a threat. That is a threat to the media. That is a threat to journalists. So we must look for a way to also review that. And also, there's what they call slap suit now. Maybe something, an attempt to expose corruption, an attempt to expose bad behavior. One government will just go to court and slam maybe 2 billion, 1 billion naira suit against you. Not because they don't know what they are doing is wrong, because they want to use that suit to intimidate you, to harass you, so that you don't continue to ask critical questions. You don't continue to dig into their bad behavior. So I think the National Assembly should also take a step to ensure that laws are initiated and adopted in order to prevent such abusive and unnecessary suit against the media. Now, the EU, for example, took that decision recently, and if you go to the EU Act, the new EU Act against SLAPP, you will discover that that law was actually designed to protect media houses against abusive suit. So, and there is something wrong if National Assembly also take a clue for that, because it's a serious threat to the media. It's a serious threat to press freedom, and it's a serious threat to independent press in our country. And we shouldn't forget the oxygen that the democracies around the world need to deepen democratic process. The media is the media. So if you destroy the media, if you make it very difficult for the media to operate, then you are indirectly destroying democracy. And we must not allow that.
How about those who some would adjudge to be unprofessional in doing their jobs, in the discharge of their duties? How about those who are more personal than professional in our line of business? How about those who focus on the issues around a particular individual that has little to do with his official deliveries? How about that? And then how about the times when it is a journalist, right? And I'm trying to ask you to let Nigerians know that individually, the individuals may not be perfect, but when they are called out for being unprofessional and it goes against the grind, someone needs to hold them to account. How does that happen?
Now, Ayo, let me also let you know that in every profession, there is always bad behavior. There is unprofessional conduct within medical association. There is unprofessional conduct within the law practice. Even among National Assembly, there are bad behaviors there. Even among the executive, the judiciary, there are bad behaviors. So journalism is not exempted. So, but what is important is that there are professional regulatory body, independent, put in place by the Nigerian Press Council. Don't forget that Nigerian Press Council, Nigerian Press Organizations, for example, is made up of the Nigerian Guild of Editors, the NUJ, Broadcasting Organizations of Nigeria, and the online professional body. So we have ombudsman, that is made up of core professionals, experienced journalists, scholars, even members of the National Assembly and the executive government. that was created recently by the MPU, to deal with the issue of unprofessional conduct on the part of the media or media houses. So, and we encourage members of the public to always, go to that professional body in dealing with unprofessional conduct on the part of the journalists, rather than going to court. Because at the end of the day, the matter might linger on for years in the competent court of law, and you might not be able to resolve the issue, and you might not even get immediate justice. So I'm saying that if there are issues of unprofessional conduct, there are regulatory bodies set up by the stakeholders in the media industries that deal with that, and that is the Nigerian Media Council, otherwise known as National Ombudsman. So it's there. The government is part of it. Other pro-media rights groups is also part of it, like Media Rights Agenda and International Press Center, the NUJ, the Nigerian Guild of Editors, the Newspaper Proprietors Association of Nigeria, the BON. They are all members of that National Ombudsman. So when there are issues of unprofessional conduct against journalists or against media houses, the public are encouraged to report to that body. And they, in line with their rules and regulations, there are processes of looking at those issues and sanctioning the media houses or the journalists concerned if they are found wanting.
How has that happened in previous years, Dr. Ujari? Because there are those who are watching us right now and saying, well, it's easier said, but we haven't really seen any journalists sanctioned. We haven't seen the NGE, for instance, come out and say, okay, social journalist or social editor did something that was untoward, was unexpected, and consequently, this is what has been done. This is the disciplinary action that we have done as a self-regulating body, ourselves. There are those who will be asking that questions. How would you respond?
Now, you can't deal with the issue of unprofessional conduct if there are no complaints from members of the public. Now, don't forget that the body I'm talking about was created late last year and is there. And I can tell you that one or two cases has been referred to that body, and the issue was dealt with accordingly. Now, before that body was set up, even among the media houses, I'm sure, Ayo, you also agree with me, there are some journalists, maybe within channels organizations, that were involved in one way or the other, that has been sacked or sanctioned by the media organizations. We have seen a situation where editors were sacked for bad behavior within the media organizations. We have seen several reporters fired for unprofessional conduct. The members of the public might not know this, but there are internal mechanisms of dealing with this bad behavior that we are talking about within the media. For example, I work in an organization. I work for Daisy Newspaper and Arise TV. We don't tolerate this kind of unprofessional misconduct. Whenever we notice them, whenever they are found wanting, we deal with them accordingly. And many of reporters and some editors have been sacked for this kind of bad behavior. So, and likewise, other media organizations. So the members of the public might not know this. But I'm using this opportunity to let them know that on the part of the MPU, there is a professional body that is charged with the responsibility of dealing with bad behavior. And once they notice that, they should not hesitate to report that unprofessional misconduct to that body. And that body is headed by a renowned and thorough, very ethical journalist. I'm talking of Emeka Ezeze, who was former managing director of the Guardian newspapers. And we also have scholars from academics. We also have people from MBA, a member of that is also a of Nigeria. We also have the chairman committee on information from National Assembly as members of that committee. We have the likes of Larry Dowu. These are ethical journalists who don't tolerate bad behavior. So we also have somebody like Professor Chinyere Okuna, who is a renowned scholar. So they are members of this professional body that we are talking about. So whenever they notice bad behavior, members of the public should not hesitate to report that conduct to that body. And I can assure them that the issue will be resolved as quickly as possible. And if the reporters or editors or media houses affected are found wanting, they will be dealt with according to the regulations set up by that body.
Okay. Were there any activities to celebrate World Press Freedom Day?
Yes. Yesterday, I'm sure Ayo was there. Ayo moderated one of the events. It was an event organized by SERAP and Nigerian Guild of Editors, that took place in Lagos yesterday. And we use the opportunity to also highlight the challenges that the media organizations are facing. Also use the opportunity to also highlight the issues around press freedom, the attack against journalists. And one of the issues that cropped up yesterday was the recent arrest or the recent adoption of the general editors of the First News. I'm talking of Segun Olatunji, who was adopted by the military, some military guys in Lagos some time ago, and detained in a DIA, I'm talking of Defense Intelligence Agency's facility, for almost about 11 or 12 days, and how he was released and the issues surrounding it. So it was a heated conversation yesterday. And those who also participate in that conversations also suggested way of resolving some of these issues. So it was widely celebrated yesterday. In Abuja, there were several non-governmental organizations like the Media Rights Agenda, the International Press Center, that also organized a similar activity yesterday to mark the World Press Freedom. Not just non-governmental organizations, even the federal government, the Minister of Information and the Minister of Environment also organized an event yesterday to also mark the World Press Freedom Day. So gradually, the world, the members of the public, are beginning to appreciate what the media organizations around the world are doing in the interest of good governance, in the interest of human rights, in the interest of democracy. And yesterday, we paid tribute to journalists who are facing persecutions as a result of their work. We pay tribute to journalists who have lost their life as a result of their professional conduct. And we also appeal to those journalists who are working under a very harsh economic condition, not to give up. We must continue to carry out our constitutional responsibility within the context that we find ourselves, even amidst the serious economic crisis. I'm hoping that one day we'll have a government in place that will appreciate the work of the media, and they'll begin to find or begin to pay attention to those issues, to those factors that hindered robust journalism in our country.
Yeah, just before we go, I just want to throw in this question regarding the freedom of information, which is now a law in this country. How well is that working? Has it made the journalists' work any easier?
There are several research that have been conducted and which gave the indication that journalists, editors are familiar with this law. I'm talking of the Access to Information Act that was signed into law by former President Goodluck Jonathan. And so we are aware of this law. But there are critical issues that is making it very difficult for journalists to make use of that law, to enhance their reporting, to enhance their investigative journalism. Like we don't know, the act is not for journalists alone. It's for everybody. It's for every Nigerian. But Nigerian journalists would have found it very easy to make use of that law to enhance their professional assignment. But unfortunately, there are other issues affecting it. For example, how do you find a situation where you request for information and from the organizations and you are not giving, and maybe you to court, to ensure that agencies, provide the necessary information. It is the same at the Office of Attorney General that is charged with the responsibilities of ensuring full implementation of that act that will go to court to also defend the government agencies. So for me, that is a huge part of, militating against the usefulness of that act. Now, how do you also find a situation where National Assembly, who ought to be receiving a report on how the implementation of that law, in a situation that since that law was passed, the National Assembly has found it very difficult to also, hearken to the request of many people who requested for information from National Assembly. So when you find a regulating body like National Assembly, who ought to be supervising the implementations of the law, breaking the same law, so how do you explain that? So these are some of the factors that are affecting the implementation of the law. The Office of the Attorney General is not helpful. The National Assembly is also helpful over the matter, and many government agencies who are also relying on the Official Secret Act not to disclose information available to them to members of the public is also affecting the implementation of that law. So generally, there are so many factors. But all in all, the journalists are aware of the importance of that law.
Just one quick one from me. Entry level into journalism now seems to have been totally deregulated. Correct me if I'm wrong. Because of what so many people rightly or wrongly call citizen journalism. Anyone who has a mobile phone now can record anything and call it news and put it on their platforms or whatever it is to get all of the accolades, all of the attention that they want to get for whatever justifiable or unjustifiable reasons. How do you think this should be dealt with? Because at the end of the day, they say they are journalists one way or the other, giving one name or the other to journalism.
Well, that is the beauty of the digital space.
Did you say beauty?
Well, there is beauty. There is beauty if you look at it critically. There's also disadvantage of that. For example, somebody who is not a trained journalist, who is not working for a media organizations, cannot refer to himself as a journalist. And that is why people like Professor Ralph Akifele don't see them as journalists. They see them as even the social platform. They don't call it. He refused to call them social media. He called them social platform because journalism. There are processes of processing news. I'm sure before your reporter will submit a story to you, there are professional senior editors that will look at it and edit it, ensuring that they meet the standard before you put it on air. And in newspaper, the same thing. There are gatekeepers. There are people who should check your story to ensure that they meet the maximum standard before they are published. But in the so-called citizen journalists, they don't have respect for those ethical conduct. So the members of the public must make sure they differentiate between real journalists and those people who refer to themselves as citizen journalists. Like I said, Professor Ralph Akifele refused to call them citizen journalists, call them social media, social platforms. Social platforms. So, and we should not confuse journalism with the use of social media by non-professionals. And that is where the members of the public is getting it wrong. They believe that whatever happens on social platform is journalism. It's not. It's not. You don't, for example, I don't think journalists, for example, will just pick a story from Facebook or Instagram and put it on air without ensuring that they pass through the necessary stages in determining whether that story is real or not.
Unfortunately.
So other newspapers, radio and television.
Yeah.
So the abuse of social media by some charlatans should not be seen as journalists.
Unfortunately, Dr. Ujare, so many people patronize these platforms thinking, as you have said, that even the regulated media is hoarding information from the people, not knowing that we're just trying to ensure that we give the right information, we put the right information out and not just join the bandwagon. I'm sure this is an information that, this conversation that will continue for a while. Dr. Iyobosa Ujare, thank you so much for your time this morning. He is the National Secretary of the Nigerian Guild of Editors. We appreciate your time and insight today.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Yeah. So Sunrise returns in a moment to take on, I don't know, how do we call this next conversation? Well, for those parents who don't understand their teenagers, this next one is for you.
I ain't gone over, I ain't gone on. I must fulfill my destiny. In all my gettings, I go get money. I see the blessings for me now, so let the blood cover me, let it cover me. God protect me from my enemies. My Jackie, I want to cover me, oh. I want to see another day. So them feet know, them feet know, them feet know I serve a living God. Those situations get tougher and harder. I believe in the one and only Son. So them feet know, them feet know, them feet know I serve a living God. Those situations get tougher and harder. I believe in the one and only Son. Oh, my liberty, all this I go find my way. Even in the darkness, my hustle go pay. Obi-Wan in me, everyone in me. I no go like Bukata for me. Majaki, I want to go by me. I want to see another day. So them fit know, them fit know I serve a living God. Those situations get tougher and harder. I believe in the one and only Son for my liberty share. Oh, liberty share. So them fit know I serve a living God. Those situations get tougher and harder. I believe in the one and only Son for my liberty share. Oh, liberty share. This world is cruel, this world is full of ups and downs, frowns and smiles. Jagani.
This topic reminds me of Oliver the Cock.
How and why?
Bunny, bunny identity.
Oh, that's a bunny identity. This one is
Bunny, bunny, bunny.
my identity. You know, children will experience many changes, ranging from physical to emotional, as they grow into adolescence.
Is that what they call?
So if you have children at home and you don't understand them, they don't seem to understand you, they don't want you looking at what they're doing, they don't want you listening into their conversations, they want to lock themselves up in the room, that sounds like a teenager.
Oh, and that sounds like a lot.
They're going through a lot. Please, don't you ever forget that. Even at 13 or 14, when they're not paying any house rent, they're not paying any bills at all, they go through a lot.
Is that sarcasm or something?
No, it's the truth.
A lot.
Yes. A life coach on this same set told us that we had to learn to listen to our children because they were going through a lot.
Are you sure it's not the same person that said that is here?
No, I think it was, what's his name now?
Miracle?
Miracle, yes. Because they have all kinds of things that are important to them. Like, oh my God, there's hair growing out of my armpit. What's that? That's part of the a lot that they're going through. But what do I know? Motolani Falabi is here, and she is a family life consultant. Was I correct about, what is this?
Oh, yes. Especially for the ladies, when they first experience their period, the menstruation, they are hiding. They are wondering what's happening to my body. Why is blood coming out? What's happening? And oftentimes, these are conversations that parents have not even had with them. But, you know, thankfully, schools are now beginning to teach them, you know, but theoretical. But this child just wakes up one morning with some tummy aches, you know, and then suddenly there's blood everywhere. Of course, number one, there's a place of shame. Oh, I don't want people to see that blood is coming out. What's happening to me? I'm all sweaty. Oh, I have hair, you know, so...
Isn't that... I mean, you said something about parents now, because if they had the kind of relationship they should have with their parents, shouldn't it be the parent that they would go to first?
Of course, but then the question is, do the parents have this kind of conversation? Oftentimes, the parents would say, I want to teach my child these things, but I don't even know how to have the conversation.
Here's the point that I'm making. Just a second.
You must...
Here's the point that I'm making. I'm a dad, right? My first daughter, when she had that experience first, we weren't living in the same place at the time. I was the first person she called.
Because you had a relationship with your daughter.
So that's what is missing. That's the point that I'm making.
Exactly.
Yeah, and don't forget that these times are not our times. In our times, you didn't discuss those things. So, period came, you ran to your mother, yes. The bed is all bloody. I don't know what happened. I didn't pee. I didn't pee blood, I'm sure of that. What happened? And mother says, sit down.
You're now a woman.
You are now a woman. If a man touches you,
you get pregnant.
You're going to get pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? I was running away from my brothers. They are men, after all. They are boys. I mean, they didn't tell you the facts as they were. Instead, they made you scared. They made you feel different. But these days, you can sit down with your daughter and have a chat with her, and she will confide in you, and you will advise her. Certain topics were taboo when we were growing up. So I would say that children these days are in a better place.
Yeah.
True or false?
True. However,
yes. There is a but to it.
Yes, we're in a better place. But then the question is, have we moved from what it used to be before when we have those conversations to say, oh, don't let any boy touch you because you get pregnant? Because these were just rules to guide us from, oh, don't get pregnant. But the generation of children that we have right now, they don't work by rules and regulations. They want to understand why. And it's not because they're trying to be rude or being disrespectful. They just want to understand why they should do what you're asking them to do. Because if you don't tell them anyways, they will figure it out. They will find out. So someone is saying, oh, yeah, my 6-year-old child is asking me about sex, but I think she's too young, so I didn't say anything. I just shut her up. When your 6-year-old daughter is asking you about sex and you shut her up, don't worry, she'll go figure it out by herself. Because the number one thing you wanted to do is to have asked her, so what do you know about this topic you're asking me? I usually would tell parents, never teach your child or never answer a question that your child is asking you when you've not found out about from the child what the child knows about the topic. Because oftentimes they know some things about that topic. They just want to confirm from you, get an opinion.
Are correct.
Yeah, of what you already know. So the most important thing you want to do, first of all, is to ask the child, so what do you know about this topic? All you want to do is balance their perspective. Rather than give rules and regulation, oh, you're sick, you shouldn't be talking about sex. God helping, they would then go out and ask someone about sex who would say, you know what, let's practicalize it.
Oh, dear.
Let me teach you how it is done. It is important that parents, have those difficult, so-called difficult conversations. Because whether you have them or not, your children will find out one way or the other.
Now, is that part of the identity crisis? Or is this some kind of beginning? The becoming a teenager kind of thing. Is that part of the identity crisis, or is it some kind of growing into it? How does it even start?
A child going into adolescence is wondering what's happening with me. So when we talk about identity crisis, it's not necessarily like crisis war. This is just the teenager trying to figure out, who am I? There's some form of confusion with what is going on in the body. The boy wakes up in the morning with an erection. He is having wet dreams and he's wondering. I had a teenager who was saying, I experienced this. I don't know what is happening. I had to go and learn, speak to a male to say, what is happening? How does this happen? To be able to explain to him. So, but then when the father is not even home, the mother is not home, these children experience these things. They have nobody to have these conversations with. A lot of things are happening with them, but there's no guide. So oftentimes they're talking to their peers. So when we talk about the identity crisis, is these children trying to figure out, who am I? What is okay? What is right? What is wrong? Daddy says this. Internet is saying another. My peers are saying this is it. So in all of this confusion, they are trying to figure out what the right thing is. What am I supposed to do? What aligns with what I believe? And that's where the crisis, comes in. They're trying to figure out who they are. Because, of course, the parents had not said, oh, this is... And every time I come on here, I'm always talking about how the family is very important, and we are the production factory of the society. At what point did the family gather together to have conversations with the children to say, this is who we are? This is, at certain age, have you had age-appropriate sexuality education with your children? Telling them ahead of time that when you're at this age, these are the certain things that would happen. These are the things that would, these are the changes you would observe in your body. When you observe this thing, it's okay, it's normal. Let's have the conversation.
Pause. At what time does one have this conversation? At what age are they when the parents have this conversation with them?
So it depends on the conversations you're having. For me, I would usually say as long as your child can hear what you're saying, from 18 months to 2 years, these kids are, when you speak to them now, gone are the days when they say when you have a baby, the baby cannot see for months, but right now...
Are you not the one who told us that they even hear you when they're in there?
Those babies, as soon as they're out, they can see clearly. So what we're saying is because you can't be... For example, we had a case of an 18-year-old child who had a brother, a girl, this chubby 18-year-old month baby who's already been abused. And the child was trying to, communicate with the mom to say, uncle, mom, but the mom didn't pay attention because the mother would usually call the brother's penis pin. And that's why we usually say, call their private part by their name. Vagina is vagina, penis is penis. Don't call penis pin. It's not pin. So by the time the daughter came to the mother and said, Mommy, uncle, and points to the uncle and says, bom, pain, the mother just, couldn't make sense out of it. But imagine that you had always called a brother private parts what it is. If the child comes and say, uncle, penis, bom.
You will understand.
You will understand.
Yes.
So from that age, you want to begin to tell them about, see, breasts, bom, penis, have those as little as 18 months, as much as they can hear you. Have that conversation about their private part, their public part. I remember I was teaching, there's something we call Ready for Life. So we're teaching those children about their private parts and public parts. And I remember that we're teaching the children I was asking them, so do you think your tummy and your back are private parts or they're public parts? And the children said, okay, so based on the things that we've learned, I would say that it's a private part. It shouldn't be seen outside. Now, subliminally, that is changing how they will dress. So one of the girls came to class the following week and said, oh, my mom brought me a crop top, but I couldn't wear it. Oh, why? Because I think it's part of my private part. It shouldn't be seen because, I should have it covered. So subliminally, you've been able to influence the children to say that you don't want to show this part of your body because we have predators everywhere.
So it's the mother now, in this particular case now, that is publicizing a private part. That's what you're saying.
Mothers want their daughters to look nice and then buy them the shorts, the skimpy, but the children are now beginning to learn that, there are predators everywhere, and we've not been able to totally get them out.
The point is made. I hope that some mother is listening right now. But there's something that I've heard from your circle, your industry. They call it age-appropriate behavior. Parents have no idea what that means. I have no idea what that means. Say age-appropriate behavior.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So I'm going to ask you a question. So if you have a 2-year-old daughter and who likes to play with water or go into the bedroom and, spills water everywhere, would you say that's a bad behavior or an appropriate behavior for that age?
As a naughty behavior, period.
You made the water available. And the child...
The water that I pay water to fetch.
Another example. There was a girl, whenever she wants to poo, the nanny would take her to the restroom, get out a potty, put water in it, and make her sit on it. Now, she wanted to use the potty. The nanny was nowhere to be found. This girl went into the bedroom, now brought out the potty to the living room because she didn't want to stay in the
bathroom
by herself. So she brought it to the living room, put some water in it, and sat in there. The mother came in, saw her, and was trying to beat that child. That to say, oh, this was bad behavior. Now you judge, was that an appropriate behavior for a 2-year-old child who wanted to help herself, or that was a bad behavior? Oftentimes, parents just beat children from being children. You're beating a child, a 5-year-old boy or a 6-year-old boy, for jumping around. Would you not be bothered if your 5-year-old son is sitting quietly all day?
It's a well-behaved child.
And you say, oh, it's well. Would you not bother you if that child is? Would you not even be asking, Daniel, are you okay?
That's for
are you fine?
We're talking about teenagers here, you know, who lie, who behave in ways that you're wondering. I didn't say they are. Do you have
when
sense?
You say lie, this is psychology behind lying. If
really?
Child, yes, if your child knows that if I say the truth,
I will be smacked.
I will be smacked, and they're trying to avoid punishment, they likely would lie.
Especially when you know that whether you lie or not,
so
eventually the truth will come out.
The challenge is they don't know if you can handle their truth. Oftentimes, it's not because they just wake up one day and say, oh, I'm going to begin to lie to my parent. Number one, they probably learned it from you. A typical example that I usually would give is, you know, growing up, we had this people who come to our house on Saturdays wanting to preach to us. And, you know, my mother would say, oh, tell them I'm not hen. And after a while, when maybe a friend of mine is trying to come in and I'm not in the mood to play or have that conversation, I will also tell my siblings, tell them I'm not in. Subliminally, sometimes we'll teach our children some of the behaviors that we see in them. But we do not accept that they're picking up this, you know, behaviors from us. So you tell your child, don't lie, but sometimes you lie. You tell your child it's not okay to disrespect people, but they see you disrespect others. You tell your child it's not okay to bully others or scream down, but you do exactly the same. So these are things that we're talking about. So when you say, oh, this child is lying, is that child really lying, or the child is trying to not break your... You know, sometimes they've done something. You know, they usually don't think through a lot of things that they do. It's impulsive. They think about it and boom, it comes to their mind and they get on with it. And they don't want to break your heart. You know, they just say, you know what, if mommy found out that I did this, mommy is not going to be happy about this, so let's just say that I didn't do it. Other times they're trying to avoid punishment. But if you are told them ahead of time, which I usually will tell parents, if your child, before you discipline a child or before you beat a child or you scream down on a child, you should have had a conversation to say, if you do this, this is the consequence for doing this. Let the child be aware. But sometimes on the go is when the child figures out what the consequence of... In fact, oftentimes they don't even know that what they are doing is wrong. I remember, you know, myself growing up, and someone had come to my house to tell my mom something about me which wasn't true. And I was telling my mom, no, that was not true. And my mom, you know, she just gave me some dirty slap and said, when an adult is talking, you don't move your hand around. She had never taught me that. But she expected that I should just know that when an adult is talking to you, you don't look into the adult's eye, you look down. Nobody told me about it. But she just expected that, oh, you're a teenager, you should know. And that's what happened with most of our parents. Oh, my child is being disrespectful. Have you taught your child
okay,
what respect is?
Okay, there's this feedback from Twitter X. Victor is saying, there is no reinventing the wheel. What happened when Auntie Alero was a teenager is still same with teens today. At that time, teens found out stuff by conversations. These times, teens still have convos with AI and the net.
They figured out things by themselves, whether you're having the conversation or not.
But you know, the identity crisis thing, what should parents, or rather, how should parents identify that their
what is going on?
Yes, are having identity crisis? What are the signs? Because maybe hitherto they just the next thing is just bring my cane, you know, and they just beat the child. But when a child is a teenager is having identity crisis, what are the signs that parents should look for and stop punishing the children for nothing?
Quite a number of things. Oftentimes they're trying out different things. trying to figure out why do I fit in exactly in all of this? Who am I? So this child is picking up certain behaviors and the parents are wondering, no, I didn't teach you this. You don't necessarily, you know, have to have taught the child. This child is mingling with other students in school, is seeing what is happening on social media. Of course, AI is available. He or she can always ask questions. And in the midst of this, they're trying their hands on a lot of things. And some of these things could involve risky behaviors, something that you are not proud of. At that time is when you want to have a conversation with the child. To say, regardless of whatever behavior that I see that you're putting up, I love you regardless. Can we have this conversation? What's going on? So you see a child who says, oh, I want to be a nurse. Maybe because this child had a family member, or at one point he wasn't feeling too well and the nurse was really nice to him or her, and he feels, oh, I love how the nurses took care of me. I think this is what I like. And all of a sudden this child maybe gets into school, was doing sciences, and like, oh no, I don't like chemistry, I don't like physics, I don't think I want to do this anymore. And you are insisting because the child had always said, maybe I want to be a doctor or I want to be a nurse. And at this point they're saying, no, I don't want to do this again. I think I like music, or I think that I want to work in the creative space, and you are insisting to say, no, this is what I want you to do. At that time is when you want to sit down. When this child was saying, this is what I wanted to do, how did they arrive at that decision? What happened at that time? What did they see? What did they experience? Was there somebody in the family who had the same profession, who made them, you know, fall in love with that profession and say, this is what I want to do? And all of a sudden they're experiencing, because they keep getting new information every day. They experience new things every day. So at some point, they just feel, no, I don't think this is what I want to do again. I want to try out this. So when you see your teenager picking up, you know, certain behaviors, you want to sit down with the child. Sometimes they just want to explore what is best. So the child, their friends are taking alcohol or taking some substances. They just want to try it out and see what's so. And you will see some of them, you say, you know, I've tried this, but I don't think that works for me. I don't think this is what at that time. But you just, I handled a case where a girl, about 18, already in university, and she said, I just wanted to see what it feels like. You know, when my roommates were taking it, I took it. It was weed, and I took it. At some point, it felt good, but I just don't think that is what I want for myself. But unfortunately, a parent found out, and they were all over her. And then when she came in, she was just crying. She said, yes, I tried it out. I know that I shouldn't have, but I'm not taking it. I just wanted to experience it. I wanted to see what it feels like. What are my friends, why are they getting so excited? Yeah, about this. So it wasn't out of, oh, I want to be a drug addict, or I want to just pick up this behavior to make my parents feel bad. Sometimes parents, we need to understand that they're just trying out their hands on certain things, on different things. Doesn't mean they're going to get hooked on it. But at that time is when they need your support, they need your love, they need that communication going on between both of you.
You said something when you were talking about this girl who tried out the weed. It's not to make my parents look bad. And I'm thinking, when children are going through this, I want to try this, I want to try that, are they really thinking about their parents or what their parents will feel at that point in time? No, they're just exploring. It has nothing, it wasn't about you. Yes, so I'm wondering why you mentioned, it's not because I want to make my parents feel bad.
The parents had always...
They're not even thinking about their parents at all at this point.
Because the parents were accusing the girl to say, oh, you know that we're religious leaders, and then you went ahead to do this. Are you trying to bring shame to the family? And she's like, no, he had nothing to do. I wasn't thinking about
At that point, you didn't even exist.
You didn't cross my mind. I just wanted to explore.
Okay, so... this identity crisis we're talking about starts from about what age and ends at about what age?
So adolescence is from about age 10 until about when they are in the 20s. You know, before 20s? Now it used to be about 10 to about 19, but some researchers are saying even because their brain is not fully developed until about 24, 25. So we're looking at, you know, early 20s.
Excuse me,
at that time,
19, 20, you're already in university.
Yes, and that's why you find out...
Where you're supposed to be learning logical thinking and all that, and you are still experimenting with all kinds of things.
Don't also forget that sometimes these children, while they are home, they were not allowed to explore certain things under rules and regulations. So when they go to university, oftentimes when I, interact with children who are in the university or teenagers, it's often about, oh, now I'm free. Oh, now I can explore this.
Yes, they are different people when they are at home.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Very different people.
Because when they were home, they lived by rules and regulation.
Yes.
Don't do this, don't do that. They were not really having conversation as to why. As to the effect. A mother was saying that I knew my son, they were going to school while they were growing up. What I did, we usually would go online and make researches about the brain, about the effect of alcohol on the body. We were watching the videos together. We were seeing how it shrinks, or destroy whatever parts of the body. I didn't have to say anything. When we went out to a party, one of my sons, went to meet a man who was drinking alcohol and was lecturing the man as to what the alcohol will do. Now, this is not the mother giving rules and regulation as to don't take alcohol, children of God don't drink, it's not good, and you're quoting the scriptures, that's not it. We're making research. These children like facts and figures. Why? Why should I? So when they see their mate do it, it's more of empathy to say, Kai, if only
you knew.
So it's not a place of rules. So when you're saying don't allow a boy touch you because you will get pregnant, and the girl is wondering, a lot of boys in my class have touched me and
I'm not
pregnant. I know some of the things that the ladies do these days, they wouldn't even get pregnant because they've done some form of
thing
to ensure, and they say it, confidently to say, no, I can't. 100%, I can't get pregnant. I've done some certain things to my body that would ensure that I never get pregnant. Now,
whereas the parents are not even aware of those things.
So because that's what you told them. You're telling them if you have sex, you are going to get pregnant. So don't worry. If pregnancy is what you have a problem with, don't worry. I've gone to do some form of family planning. I'm not going to get pregnant because you have not communicated to say, oh, so you have sex with this person. You're likely in another few months, you're probably falling out of this, this relationship, and then you go to the next one. How do you feel? Certain things that comes with jumping from one man to another, but then you're talking about just if you have sex, you're going to get pregnant, and this girl is saying, don't worry, pregnancy is your problem. I won't bring the pregnancy home. I'm just going to have fun, because you have not helped the child to understand who he or she is, and so they go all out exploring.
Sam has this message. It's an email. My 14-year-old son told my wife that we, the parents, don't know what he is going through. Said, I told my wife, really?
Going through a lot again.
I'm struggling with paying school fees, band electricity costs, rising food costs, fuel scarcity, providing for the whole family. Daddy is going through lots of stuff too. Daddy needs understanding from things too. And I think that conversation ought to be had. I still remember fondly my late dad. He said that he called my younger brother and I were under 10 at the time. And that he said he called us and said, guys, this and this, the things going on. Milk is expensive then.
I said, what would he say?
Said that milk was getting more expensive, that the family may not be able to afford it anymore. He said, we told him, don't worry, Dad. Whatever is available will be good. So even though the parents, the teens are having identity crisis and the parents are confused with the loads of things that Sam has to go through.
But the parents are not having this conversation. So you're painting it to your children or to your teenagers like you're perfect, you're okay. They can understand. But you just feel like they don't have emotions, they don't know what is happening. You are not communicating with them.
You have to sit them down, have a conversation with them.
Especially when, the prices of things went up. We're advising parents to say, sit your children down to say, this is what is happening. Yeah. This is what our family income is. Right now, we cannot afford to do 1, 2, 3. So based on this, let them contribute. Just don't come and say, now there's no money, this money we're making cannot do 1, 2, 3, and you're cutting everything off. So let's sit together. This is the situation. Guys, what do you think? Let them be a part of the conversation to say, this is what is happening.
As if they're working part of the money. That's okay, that's okay.
That should carry them along, and they would understand, really.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay, we hear you. We understand. We understand.
Wait, I gotta read Sam's email.
The thing is...
No, I'm sorry. I gotta read Sam's email one more time. I was laughing earlier, and I'm not doing that again. So Sam says, my 14-year-old son told my wife, we the parents don't know what he's going through. I told my wife, really? I'm struggling with paying school fees, band air electricity costs, rising food costs, fuel scarcity, providing for the whole family. Daddy is going through lots of stuff too. Daddy needs understanding from teens too.
Yes.
And now if this is daddy who has a mommy at home, what's happening to single parents? It's another conversation altogether.
All right, so we hear you. Of course, where we anchor this again today is we've got to listen to them.
Yeah.
We've got to listen to them. It's not like our days when we were seen and not heard. That is the lesson today. We've got to listen to these children. They may be going through a lot, what they consider to be a lot, which may not be important to us, which may lead them to depression. So we really have to find time to talk to them, to listen to them.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mutalani Falabi,
Family
Life Consultant. Thank you for coming once again today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, just before we take the last item today, which is our home stretch, let's take the wrap.
Hello everyone, the wrap is here. You know it's that time on Sunrise when we go at a very high speed into the showbiz space to catch what has been happening from over the week. My name is Abide Midara and I'm happy to steal you away from Alero and Ayo for a few moments to see what's happening in the showbiz space. So let's go. And let me tell you, this week opened with violence, to borrow a word from the social media parlance. As a matter of fact, I think they call it violence in that space. So what really happened? Grammy winner Wizkid's ex-fingers started firing shots again, and this time Davido and Don Jazzy became the casualties. What started like a normal fans engagement session quickly went left after Wizkid responded to a request for new music from his fan with Davido's recent viral crying video as an example of how he wants the fan to beg him for new music. It didn't end there. Wizzy still had spare bullets and he aimed one at Don Jazzy, who he dismissed as an influencer, a direct mockery of the Maven Head Honcho's activity on social media. Before the end of the day, Davido, not want to turn the other cheek when he's attacked, responded in equal measures, including calling Wizkid sick. As expected, the fans of both artists joined in the banter, with neutrals stoking the flames with side comments that ensured the battle rages on. Well, while the Wizkid FCs and the 30 BGs were going at each other's throats, Burna Boy's outsiders were celebrating a new feat for the self-professed African giant as he becomes the African artist with the highest grossing arena concert ever in the United States, beating his own previous record. The artist's 2024 concert at the TD Garden Arena in Boston grossed over $1.5 million, thereby surpassing the previous record he set at Madison Square Garden in 2022. Since breaking into the international scene in 2018 with his monster hit single Ye, Burna has achieved unprecedented success and earned his place in the big league of the global music industry. Well, let's go into Nollywood now, where veteran actor Kanayo is not happy about the current disruption in the movie industry and has warned that it might have adverse effects on individuals involved. In a short video posted on his Instagram page, the celebrated actor called out a few current trends in the industry, including actors only entertaining bookings for a day shoot, filmmakers making movies for YouTube, and actors focusing on creating their own content rather than collaborating with others to create a bigger project.
I watched with dismay, and I make this video out of no malice to anybody. It's been messed up by different things, especially the actors are doing. And mark my words this day, if I be the professional that I have been all these years, then what I'm going to say to you right now is going to come to pass. We built Nollywood brick by brick, block by block. But the guys who have besieged YouTube, actors, not the producers, don't have any sense of purpose or process to create a procedure for a lasting videography of creating content.
Meanwhile, the CEO of Eric Mani record label, that is Dili Umenyora, has confirmed that his new artist, Good News, popularly known as G Newsy, has been kidnapped in Ughelli area of Delta State. According to Dili, the singer who was with his manager was kidnapped after performing at a club in the state, and a ransom of $200,000 have been demanded by the kidnappers. In an earlier chat with me during the week, an obviously emotional Dili expresses concerns for his artist.
These are issues that is really paining me, because I know what I went through with one time, and I just don't want that bad. I don't want anything, but then again, people say, okay, they didn't pay this money. They killed this guy. So there's so much.
Well, and finally on the wrap today, the prestigious Tribeca International Film Festival has made Nigerian movie The Weekend an official selection that will premiere at the festival later this year. The Trino Pictures movie is directed by Daniel Oriahi and produced by Uche Okocha. The movie follows the story of an orphan lady who visited the seemingly perfect family of her boyfriend and uncovers their sinister secrets.
Nothing but love them so far. How can you treat them like this?
It's complicated, babe. As you can.
What are you talking about?
Oh, well, many thanks for joining us on the wrap on Sunrise today. In a bit, you go back to join Alero and Ayo on Sunrise. But remember, you can keep pace with us on channelstv.com and all our social media handles. My name is Abide Midairu, and I'll see you again next time.
I saw Oyinbo saying bebe there. Don't say bebe.
That's not even the one that caught me. You know, when he began, he was chanting some things using different tones. It reminded me of a senior colleague back in time, some almost 30 years ago. He said in Ijebu language that just one sentence described the same thing for the same one single word. Biodo. Biodo says, Metekpo. Afralakpu. Pa. Bo.
All meaning the same thing.
All meaning put off. But I don't know. So, well, I guess we'll explain that. Baba Erujeje, real name Michael Fashina, is with us this morning. Thank you for joining us. An international, creatively dynamic, inspirational entertainer and minister of the gospel, featured here and there and everywhere. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me. I am glad to be here. Yes.
What is the meaning of Erujeje? There is a drink called Erujeje.
Well, that was something that happened a number of years ago, and when it happened, I didn't know what to say, but well, they chose to use that name. Funny enough, the name itself has, as you have rightly asked, I think the best way I can describe it will be, you know, in time past, if you take all the continents of the world, meaning North America, South America, Asia, Australia, Africa, Antarctica, if you were to look at all
Europe.
Yes, Europe too. If you were to look at all the ancient men of old, they knew that there was an ultimate authority in the heavens and that rules in the affairs of men, and that he must have created everything. And it was still a bit of a mystery to them. So they wanted to attempt to give him names. So how best to give him names than to look at the works of his hands, being earth, water, wind, and fire, and the awesome nature of these elements. And they began to give names to him metaphorically based on all these elements. One of such names, let me not mention all those other, but from where I come from, one of such names is, they call him the Alagbalubu Ibu, which simply means that he is the widest expanse of waters, limitless in depths and in width. Some went further and they called him the Amoruru, Alaruru, or Taruru, Saruru, Kinitin, Sileni, Miokunku. If I would permit me to interpret that one, it simply means that the one we're serving is the whitest, the purest, the cleanest, the Lord of blazing light, and he lords it over every form of darkness that have ever existed in creation. The final one I want to mention is this. They call him the Money Moyo. Which simply put is he's the one that knows us. He formed us. He fabricated our anatomical outlay. He is the learned one who understands the fetus or the baby in the womb of a snail. Now, from the Yoruba standpoint, all these names number in the hundreds. And I believe the Yoruba people summed it up into one, which is Erujeje, which means the awesome one, all put together. I hope I've not talked too much.
So, are you, with these few words of his,
I hope I've not
hope you have convinced me.
Yes.
I hope you have convinced me. Okay.
How did this start for you?
Well, how it started, okay, now, I had some issues in the past, a while ago, and, well, okay, let me go back to where it started from. Once I came to know someone who touched my heart, who changed virtually everything about me, and that's in the person of Christ Jesus. And it was... Maybe I took it a bit more than most people, and I was able to, but maybe down the line, I had some issues, and they were very heavy issues, and almost like a cloud. Some people will call it depression or what you call it, like a cloud hanging over you. But I noticed that whenever I opened my mouth to sing, it lifted. And So whenever I came, I would sing more. And to afford myself for the cloud to go away. So, and that brought a lot of solution to my what was happening to me at that time. And then also in my mind, I had this unique ability, not unique, virtually everybody has it, the ability to escape from reality into an abstract world. And so I would imagine. I had this very powerful sense of imagination. And so I became creative as taking the stories from there and bringing it in reality and writing it into... and then I also had this desire for folklores, folk tunes, and all that. So I had... that helped me to write my very first opera back then, which was titled Erujeje. And the person you are looking at is the main character. Yes, there. Yes. So and so over the years, I would carry out research. I would study, and then of course someone also advised me to go and study in the higher institution, music related. So I studied music technology with options in performing arts. I majored on human voice, and so over the years, what I will say is this. This is what you are seeing now. The concept is a synergy of a host of things, which metamorphosed into different stages and then culminated into what you now see as the Erujeje concept, yes.
Concept?
Yes.
Not persona?
No, the persona is there. But every other thing, because I basically use the arts to pass across God's
Okay,
word.
now that is an interesting way to put it. You use the arts. It's the person we're seeing is the persona of Erujeje,
yes.
right?
Yes.
But Michael Fashino is the person inside the...
yes, one young man that I know
One
somewhere.
young man that you know somewhere.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what are the challenges, some of the challenges that have come with this for Michael Fashino? That's young boy.
Well, one other thing is that a lot of people do not know him. You know? And,
the same way they don't know Lagwaja?
More or less, yes. And so it is possible for him to buy Bolly by the roadside, and then nobody will know. It's possible for him to shout at the conductor. Nobody will say that is the person. So it's possible for him to live a normal life, and he will not be...
Was that the purpose of all of this?
Well, the purpose... Okay, now, thank God you've asked for that. Because when he started out, he was more into contemporary music.
Okay.
And only a class of people subscribed to that. So he was more interested in doing what not just the younger generation will accept, but what even the elderly and the middle-aged people will. So this came across, and it was more widely accepted. Yes.
So now you said that you had this. The reason I'm asking these questions is because part of the reason for the Artist of the Week is to inspire.
Yes.
Is to provoke other people who are out there who should be doing stuff like this, but for one reason or the other, they're afraid who is going to accept me and all of that. Did you have that petrification at any level?
Well, okay, let me put it this way. When we started out, it wasn't a popular thing. People didn't really accept it as I would have thought they would accept it. Some class accepted it, but then it was more or less like something that was... permit me to use this phrase. There's this phrase that was used concerning Jesus in the Bible. It says, the zeal of the Lord consumeth me. So it was something I saw as a lifelong venture. No, don't let me use venture. A lifelong journey. And which I didn't have a choice to. It was something I loved doing. It was something I knew I had to do. It was something, you know, there's another place in the scripture. It says, the communication of your faith might become effectual when you acknowledge the good things in you in Christ Jesus. Now, those good things can be termed to be talents, it could be termed to be gifts. You know, another place says, I've given you power to make wealth. Those are those salient things that you cannot really attach a price to. They are in it, and it comes with everyone. That's the funny thing. Every human being has it. You have some people call it the wow factor about you. Some people call it it's a latent thing. It's a power that is resident in you that is placed there when your manufacturer was creating you. So every man has it. Every man. So you cannot say you do not have that wow factor. Every human being has it. It's just that.
But agreeing to it that you have it, that's another thing altogether.
Yes, exactly. Because you see, the whole intent the reason why the enemy of your soul will not want you to see it is because the moment you know it and the moment you begin to give it attention, your purpose on earth will become more of, yes, it will manifest. And that is what he doesn't want you to.
How do you describe your genre of art?
Olagbara. Olagbara is very powerful because it was difficult for me to describe it. Much like you see that nomenclature that I was talking about, even when Moses went to God and said, God, you are sending me, who should I say is sending me? Even God himself, to give himself a name, he said, I am. Because how do you give names to some? Okay, so let me come back to the question. This genre, how do I
give it a name?
Okay, I will call it ethnomusical, ecological.
Let's just say it
expression.
is. Dioyinbo is becoming plenty.
Okay. Sorry.
Ethno.
It is. How do I describe it? It is. Okay, exactly. Everything under the arts is divided into three parts. I will tell you.
Sorry.
You have music. You have music, you have dance,
yes,
and you have drama. There are other various expressions.
Musical, dramatic?
Yes, there are other various expressions under there somewhere. But the major ones are music, dance, and drama. And a while ago, God helped me to understand, you know, when you are, let's say you're in church, you're listening to somebody sing, or you go for an event, somebody singing, and he doesn't gesticulate, he doesn't act it out, he's not immersed in what he's doing. You will just be waiting for the person to finish. Please, finish and carry yourself away from there. But I understood that, and I had to add a bit of artistry to the singing and be immersed in this and then I noticed that it went further. It reached further.
So essentially,
and it was more lasting in the heart of yes.
Essentially, is to give it a uniqueness that will make it appealing.
It wasn't intentional, but it did that.
Okay. Now, you said you know the Michael Fashino, one young man.
Yeah.
How old is Erijeje?
Well, if I'm going to add all of it together, this and that, well,
I'm not talking about Michael Fashino.
Yes, you can safely put it as he turned 79.
So I'm saying Erijeje is just about 6 years older than my colleague here. Because she looks like, you are saying she looks like 50, right?
Okay, now the point is this. Let me be very honest with you. When I came in, I made mention, I said, because I remember the last time I saw her, and this is a unique gift, I must tell you.
10 years ago?
Yes, I must tell you. And let me repeat it again. I said, you must have not aged a day since the last time I saw you. Because she's looking fantastic. She's looking, what's that word again? Phantasmagorical. That's the word, yes. Okay. She's looking phantasmagorical. Yes.
We have about 2 minutes. For a young man like Michael Fashino out there who wants to do something and is finding it strange that this has never been done before, how am I going to even tell anyone that I want to do this? What would you advise this fellow?
Nothing good comes easy. If you believe in it and you trust God, and God has shown you, and because God speaks to us in diverse ways, in your imagination, in your ability to see into the next. Because as a human being, normal human being, you can't see beyond your nose, and that's a honest truth. But you have been endowed with certain gifts that come with you as it came with the package. So if you are able to see with it, a place in the scripture says, see a man that is diligent. He will stand before kings and not men. If you repeatedly just start that thing, carry out some research about it, give it attention, let it grow, develop it, make it a bit more professional. A bit more professional than it would have been. Don't embrace mediocrity. Be professional about what you are doing. You will excel. It's just a matter of time.
Okay.
Give it a bit, yeah.
Now, you will sing us out. Yes, we will sing, you will sing. The camera is going to be on you, solo Daya, to sing in that voice.
After we have signed off.
After we have signed off. But if you can just explain this in 30 seconds.
Okay.
When you say you majored in voice,
yes,
what does that mean?
Oh, that simply means I have a bit more knowledge about the human voice than the average person. And it also gives me, for example, in voice class, I am bass, but I should be able to sing soprano notes, alto notes, tenor notes. I should be able to, because essentially I'm supposed to be a teacher.
Ranges.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so Erujeje Michael Fashino brings to a close sunrise for today, the 4th day of May 2024. Thank you very much for for allowing us to be part of your Saturday morning. I'm Alero Idu, wishing you the best until next Saturday when we bring you a fresh edition.
Again, we say welcome to May and have a wonderful month. I'm Ayo Makinde. Let's leave the stage for Erujeje to sing us out.
Okay, funny enough, the song that comes to mind is the old national anthem, which is the second verse. It says, O God of all creation, grant this our one request. Help us to build a nation where no man is oppressed, and so with peace and plenty, Nigeria shall be blessed.
In times of hardship and uncertainty, only God's love and power can transform us. La Peace Lazuli Ministries invites you to the Kingdom Renewal Conference 2024 with an evening in Lagos at TBS Marquee. Date, Tuesday, 7th May. Time, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. And Port Harcourt at Aztec Alchem Event Center, 77 Ken Sarawiba Road. Date, Thursday 9th to Saturday 11th May. Time, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily. Ministering live in Lagos and Port Harcourt, Dr. Tom Jones, Catherine Brunala, David Wagner, Charity